Quartermaster, make ready for sea, and crew, rise to action seats, all around on your halyards. Helmsman, mutiny's on the menu. Captain Zenith is here with the rest of the DGen gang, so grab some grog, grab a doubloon while you can, and get ready, because it's the FN Hangout. What is up, everybody? Oh, the captain, aka RG3, is up in Canada, Vancouver, I believe, for the first stop on their international leg of the PulseChain tour. So shout out to everybody up there. I hope you are having a lot of fun in the Great White North. Hopefully it's actually thawed out a little bit for you now. And for the folks at home that don't know, the west coast of Canada is technically a temperate rainforest, I believe. So there will be a lot of great sights, a lot of good times hanging out, and they're going to be having a excellent conference up there, I hope. So, as always, you might be wondering who the heck I am. I'm one of the DGen Roundtable, and we like to help co-host around here when the captain's gone, and we thank him very much for tossing us the keys, because this is a very expensive car. Anyways, I have a few people joining me tonight. So, if my Mr. Producer, if you will, bring on the first member of our crew. It's Nate McGettit. How's it going, first mate? How we doing?
Yeah, it's going pretty good right now. That was an awesome intro, by the way. I was not expecting that, so Jesus.
Hey, I do what I can. Nate, for the folks at home, who are you? What do you do? Why are you here?
I am Nate McGettit, aka the Ascending Man. And I am on a crypto journey to ascend to the heights, so that way I can buy my time back, and then I can sail the seas forever on. So let's do it.
Love it, love it. All right, Mr. Producer, bring on the next member of the crew. My quartermaster, Will Stevenson. How we doing, laddie?
Oh, you are totally muted, bro.
He's muted. He rugged himself.
Yeah,
Still
he's
muted.
doubly muted here.
There
Ladies
we go.
and gentlemen, boys and girls, ducks and squirrels, DGens of all shapes and sizes on this fantastic Discourse Syndicate FN Hangout, coming at you live from the DGen Roundtable. I'm just here to party and hang out and have a good time. So we drink from the skulls of our enemies here on the FN Hangout. It's too bad that RG3 is not here to have such a piratey good time, but he's over busy scallywagging and hanging out and having fun up in the great old Pacific Northwest up in Canada there, eh? So
Yeah,
glad to be here, ready to have some fun. Let's fucking get into it, boys and girls.
Absolutely. They're having a good port call in Vancouver. So with that being said, it is an exciting time to be a crypto bro right about now. We just had the halvening earlier this month, and it appears that the Bitcoin 60-day cycle might have finished and we're back on our way up. I know a lot of the altcoins have been bleeding, cough, cough, Pulse and Hex included. However, I don't think anybody around these parts are losing faith in that. If anything, it's actually not financial advice, but pretty easy time to DCA into it. What do you guys think? What's the sentiment in the crypto sphere these days?
Who gives a shit? Fucking buy it all, baby.
Fair enough.
Very short and sweet, right? No, what the sentiment that I'm seeing is that a lot of people have been really panicking pretty hardcore. You know, it's kind of like, oh, it's all over. Here comes the bear, right? With the blah, blah, blah. And it's really funny because we've been saying for a while now, since the halvening, that hey, we are looking for downwards to sideways action for the next 3 months. And the interesting thing is that it seems like it's going to go back up, right? But after we go up a little bit, more than likely we're going to drop back down to these points again, aka sideways action. So what I'm kind of hoping for, and this has been the big question, is the ETFs. Remember, this time is different. And I think it's actually true, right? Because these ETFs do have a possibility of being able to, number one, hold the Bitcoin price for sideways action. But number two, actually for the first time ever, have it go up after the Bitcoin halvening. So we'll see. Right? I don't think we're gonna get any moonshots yet, though. Let's save that one for August, okay?
I think I completely agree, Nate. I'll have to check my data, but I think we actually just dropped back below 50 or 50% is what we'll call it on the greed and fear index. And keep in mind, we were at like 85, 90 in the greed section, and now we're back in fear. So It's probably going the other way at this point. However, at the same time, I think people are realizing, like you said, this time is different, and that's for sure. By the way, my producer is letting me know right now that I forgot to do the part of the intro I was supposed to, which is that, by the way, the FN Hangout is for all of you guys. It is not just us getting on here to try to talk on RG3's channel. We want you guys to come on, talk with us, share your message, talk your book, so to speak, if you will, and let us know what is on your mind, what you want to talk about, and what you want to possibly promote. I know Eco Builder recently finished up his design contest for the next postcard, so shout out to him, what he is going on. I believe last week we had our good friend Captain Larry, aka Crypto Kool-Aid, on talking about his project with the GIF token and Pulsar.
Gifford Ware and Pulsar. Those are the things that they're working on over there.
Yes, and even before that, we had Gary Woods on here talking about the Munich challenge. And I think right now, Rags to Riches, aka Brandon, is in a running gun battle with Tulsi Gabbard for that first place spot. So we are trying to get him across that finish line so he can go to Mar-a-Lago and hang out with, I think President Trump's going to be there, but it's mainly for PBD, Patrick Bet David, because that is his program. So we're trying to get him there so we can connect. And then I'm pretty sure Gary's going to be there as well. I think Gary's in 4th place right now. So show Gary some love. And by the way, I'm pretty sure both of these gentlemen have said that if you want to do the next stuff, they're more than happy to maybe kick some of it back so that we're not just throwing money into a well or aka PBD's pocket. So that's what I got going on. I believe the link is in the show notes. Mr. Producer, please let me know if I'm wrong or where people can find the StreamYard link. Come on, hang out, chat with us, and have a drink. If that's what you're into, by the way. All right.
I like it.
Perfect. By the way, I do have a little show and tell for everybody. This is a bastardized version of a Dark and Stormy. So we have some Gosling's Darkened Rum. We're going to add this to...
Pour it on camera so we know you're not faking it. So we know you're not faking apple juice over here.
Where's the rum gone?
Where is the rum gone?
So that's Gosling, right?
Gosling's Dark Black Rum from Bermuda. And then this is supposed to be ginger beer, but we only have Canada Dry. So we're going to add some of that.
I see the green is green screened away. That's funny.
Oh, yeah. And then I have even another green screen thing. This is the invisible lime juice.
That's too cool. Wow.
There we go.
Oh, fantastic.
Dark and Stormy. There you go. Great drink.
I've got a delicious drink of liquid death, sparkling water, murder your thirst. So that's what I'm drinking.
And drinking out of a black skull, man.
Yeah, out of the skulls of my enemies, bro. That's the only way to do it.
The liquid death guys have a hell of a marketing push. I know they like to say that dihydrogen monoxide is one of the most dangerous things in the world that kills hundreds of thousands of people, aka water from drowning. They put it in cans and sell it, so there's that.
Yep. If you inhale it, you're dead instantly. Bro, I bought I'm like, if we're playing the show and tell game, I bought one of their snowboards, man. They've got 50 snowboards, 50 of them. You should look up the Liquid Death snowboard advertisement. You will not be disappointed. It is quite funny. Will do.
By the way, I'm gonna ask Mr. Producer if he can star some chats so we can shout out the community, which is the whole reason why we're here. I know we actually had our community stream on Wednesday, and we had good friend of this channel, Brazology, come on there and hang out with us for a little bit. It was great chatting with him. Nate, you are muted, my friend.
No, I was just saying absolutely.
Absolutely, there it is. Awesome. Let's do some shout outs. Ooh, Agent J up first. He says, who's walking the plank first? Well, hopefully it's not me after the intro. That is my patronage to the community. I hope that was entertaining. Up next, we got Centurion 54X, aka saying DRT taking over tonight. Long time no see, DGens. That's right, a long time no see. We saw you about 12 minutes ago.
Oh, it's such a good time.
We got Alan Fizame showing up right on time, saying everyone walks the plank, no survivors here. I guess he wants to get rid of the entire crew, but that's up to him. Next up, we got Mel. Oh gosh, I apologize in advance. Melv Tony says, "Good evening, fellow Hexicans. Good evening to you, sir. Happy to be here, and more than happy to talk about t-shirts at some point." After that, we got Hector the Protector 22. He is saying, "Ahoy, Captain. Ahoy. Captain is gone, but the third mates are running the ship now." David Gomez, he has a very important message. He says, hit the like button on the way in, everyone. That's right. Hit the like button. Show Cap some love. Not us. This is his channel. Let's pump his numbers. That'd be hilarious if we did a stream where we at least competed with his numbers. I would love to see that. We got more. Mr. Rocky Jockey saying hi. Hello, sir. And I thank you for the love. Honey Drippers. I'm glad you appreciated it. And speaking of intros, by the way, I do genuinely believe that RG3 has one of the best intros. Even the countdown music, I put it in our private chat for the production side. I was like, this slaps. This just like heavy guitar riff is just killer.
I was just imagining this is like some sort of Ailstorm type of thing. Just get them to sing over it.
Dude. Oh, I fucking love Ailstorm.
Yeah, they're awesome.
That would be sick. I was going to say, so I know this is one of the points that I like to talk with Cap about on stream is he said that previously we're filling out conference rooms and hotels. Next, he wants to fill out stadiums. I was thinking to myself, like, logistically, how do we fill out a stadium? And a concert is actually not a terrible way to do it. Might not have like TED Talks with Hexicans up there, but if you could put on a sick concert provided by Hexicans for Hexicans, that'd be pretty killer.
That would be pretty cool. We get Westcott, we get Black Sheep, we could get, who are some of the other music creators? I know there's a couple other in the space. Those are the ones I know about. Big shout out to all of them.
That there are. By the way, the link you see down below, that is the StreamYard link to get into the show. If you decide to be a caller and call in and hop on, you'll be put to the green room. After that, you'll have access to the private production chat. We'll just give you a heads up, let you know we're going to bring you on. And we typically like to have people at least have their camera on for just a hot second so we can confirm you're not a troll. RG3 likes to do it live, but at the same time, we don't want to get the captain canceled. So we want a little bit of verification. Not going to dox anybody, but at the same time, we're not trying to get someone else's channel pulled down. That is Absolutely. What we got.
Yeah, and join in, guys, and ask us some questions because, I mean, there's a lot of things going on in the market right now. If you got any concerns or anything like that, bring it up. Bring it up. Let's talk about it. Come on.
True. I was going to say, there is one project that is launching tomorrow that I wanted to ask both of you guys about, and that is a bit of the other side of the coin from the highest of stakes, which is the lowest of stakes, I believe is premiering tomorrow. Have you guys seen?
Kidding.
Yeah, did you guys see the highest of stakes?
Yeah.
Well, I know you and I saw it together in Vegas at the Crypto Mindset meetup last summer. That was a blast.
That was awesome. It was a good time.
I, no pun intended, pirated it.
Boo. Fucking boo. That's fair.
I saw it.
One of the things I was talking about is that if you have Amazon Prime and you keep like doing the delayed shipments, like you don't need it like tomorrow or in the 2 days or whatever, they'll actually give you digital credit. And if you build up enough digital credit, you could just go purchase the highest of stakes for free on Amazon. So there you go. That's one way to get it without actually spending like money separate than the money you're already spending, but it'll just cost you time. But yeah, Lowest of Stakes is produced by Hexy Bastard. I actually had the pleasure of hanging out with him in Vegas for the PulseChain Tour meetup in March. Awesome dude. Definitely, he's from across the pond, so they do enjoy taking the piss out of each other, but it's all with respect and love. So at the same time, looking forward to the movie tomorrow. And also, is it a parody? Yes. Are they going to make fun of RG3? Yes. Did they also potentially find a male stripper to play the role of RG3 in the parody? You're going to have to find out for yourself.
Oh,
that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
This is going to be interesting. I wonder what platform he's launching on, or is it like his own thing, like a little GoFundMe streamer? If it's on
he
YouTube.
Actually has a full-on I cannot find it. It's a website. It's the lowest. Oh, I just can't speak English or type it while I'm trying to speak it. The Lowest of Stakes.
The Lowest of Stakes.
I'll have to check his Twitter. We're just going to keep the show rolling for now.
Yeah, you keep posting. I'll do the research.
Will do. I was going to say, Nate, what did we just talk about half an hour ago?
Oh, we talked about some kind of book. I don't know, some dude, he wrote it. I don't know, his name's like Richard Hart or something. Little, maybe SJ, kind of voiced over reading it and everything. I don't know. Do you know about this book, Zenith?
I know a little bit. I think it's called Sivive, and yes, a wild
Yes.
SJ,
Yeah,
aka
that was the name. That was the name.
the Cap's right hand lady. She did 2 audiobook versions. She did an audiobook cover and then went and took voice acting lessons to do a second cover even better. So if you've ever wanted to actually read that book that Richard Hart talks about, Sivive is the name of it, and SJ is the voice. It's pretty good. This week we actually covered the chapter on money, although it's a lot more than just money. It's kind of just like business, finance, investment, that kind of stuff. So I say, to recap a little bit, what was the big takeaway that you got?
Oh, you're asking me, right?
Yes, sir. We're gonna hit
Yeah.
Will after this.
So one of the big things that actually I did not get to say this actually. Okay, so you guys are getting it here first. I actually did not get to say this on the on the book club. This guy we just sort of passed over it, the opportunity for me to say it. But one of the big things he talks about is not necessarily saying that Bitcoin is your best option to actually get the most amount of gains, but it's actually to start up a company for $100,000, make back that $100,000, and then if you have something like, say, $30,000 extra made, that's a 33% increase, and so therefore you could technically just sell the company for 3 times the amount of money in 1 year, and bam, you've 3x'd that money, and then you can just keep doing it again. Now, I do believe he wrote this back in, I think it was like 2018, if I remember correctly. So I think he's kind of changed his tune a little bit, where he thinks that crypto is better nowadays. However, this is something that I've noticed about my profession, where people will start up companies, just brand new, start them up, get them to the point where they're just kind of running on their own, aka like 1 to 3 years, and then they just sell them off to one of the big 20, and they just make a ton of money off of all that. Meanwhile, all the money they're also making themselves. So yeah, it's actually it's pretty lucrative, and it's a good idea. You might want to think about that, guys, because it's it's not as hard as you would think.
I'm gonna give you a little bit of pushback. I think building a successful business and then also being able to successfully sell it afterwards without you being an intrinsic part of it, it requires a very specific skill set, and it also requires a risk tolerance that I would argue is almost paramount to like meme coin traders in crypto, which is that I hope you're not living off a consistent W-2 or paycheck, because like it's all you at that point. Live or die at your own hand and what the market chooses to give you based on your efforts.
Oh man, like, so basically it's this then is what you're saying. You either start your own company, just raise it up to a certain amount over 1 to 3 years, and then, just sell it off, or you could just get dick with butt.
Look, I'm not saying that the meme coins are profitable per se, but I'm saying the risk profile, the amount of sleep you lose could potentially be similar. But I mean, the similar point, one of the large points in the chapter that we cover this week was that when you get into either sales or business ownership, it uncaps your earning potential and allows you to make as much as you possibly can based on your own efforts and the things that you build. Up until that point, you're pretty much at the whims of an employer and what they choose to pay you. But at the same time, it's trade-offs. Are you willing to take full control? Are you willing to play on hard mode to receive those hard mode benefits? It's for each person. And this is something that I alluded to, which is that the money specifically talks about a lot. The chapter specifically talks a lot about money, but it doesn't exactly tie in all the other like non-tangible things that exist with like having a life, living your life, having a family, having society, having culture, that kind of stuff. Those are the things where you spend money with no expectations of returns, and it's done purely for enjoyment and fulfillment. Alrighty, Mr. Will Stevenson, what was your favorite part of the chapter this week?
My favorite part of the chapter, it wasn't really my favorite, but one of the things that stuck out to me a lot was when he was talking about distractions in video games and how it's not a good thing to make more video games that distract you from life. It's important to make games out of things that are important, like you gamify things that are valuable. I'll send it back to Robert Kiyosaki's game Cash Flow. It's a super duper cool, fun game that teaches you like the principles of wealth building, like how to take loans, how to like buy real estate, how to invest in this. I mean, they didn't have like cryptocurrency at the time of the release of the game, but like how to invest in the stock market / cryptocurrency, how to buy the lows, how to sell the highs, like how to interact with people. It's like you versus the bank as opposed to other games where it's you versus other players and things like that. So I think that was a really important point in the money chapter, is like the value that you can create for the world by gamifying important like financial and like just good life lesson stuff. So that was my favorite part of that chapter. It was a good one.
I like it. One of the topics that Richard talked about that I enjoyed chewing on for a bit was the idea of ownership. It's you can have ownership of a business, you could have ownership of property, or you could even have ownership of things in your everyday life. One of the examples he gave is it really worth it to buy a car? How much of your car is actually utilized on a daily basis? What I mean by that is he throws out the idea that theoretically your car is a very inefficient item because you use it for like 15-30 minutes and then go park it for like 3 to 4 hours, which means that there's a lot more time where it's doing nothing instead of doing something useful. So he proposed the idea of something like Uber or a ride share, or I think it's Turo is the the personal car rental program, something like that. He says like, look, there's a way to utilize things more efficiently. If you can figure it out and monetize it well, good chance you're going to make a pretty penny on it. And then also at the same time, he's like, sometimes buying and owning things is like actually a worse value than just renting things when you need it. So it's one of those books where it's like really, really examine and try to find the efficient and optimal way to live your life. Alrighty. We actually ended up finding the lowest of stakes website. So, Mr. Producer, if you don't mind, by the way, the producer is Josh, aka Chocolate Taints on Twitter, another member of the DGen Roundtable team. Want to give him a shout out. He is hanging out backstage, controlling the buttons and pushing the knobs today. So that's what he's doing. Good sir, if you don't mind sharing my screen, I have something for the people. There you go. By the way, shout out to Swearworks. He let me know that lowest of stakes is going live soon. This is the website for it. We have 1 day and 33 minutes. And like Swearworks said, I think it's going live on YouTube for free for everybody. So you should be able to find it. Yes, thank you. There it is. Gosh, I am putting our producer through the ringer tonight. My apologies. Yeah, if anybody's familiar with the highest of stakes website, this also is a direct parody of that. So there's layers to this. There's a lot of stuff going on. The production timeline is especially funny because in the development notes, it's story and development, go to the pub, thrash out story, have a few drinks, call it a day. And then the end of principal production, the last step is go to the pub.
Yep. That sounds like my kind of guy.
Yeah, Hexy's a funny guy. He's definitely a bit of a larger than life character in person. Good person to hang out with. And he is a good contender for the crypto parking lot belt. Although right now that is held by Crypto Coffee himself. So maybe we'll get a rematch sometime soon. Maybe not. Who knows? Anyways, on to the next one. I'm going to share a different tab if you don't mind. Good sir. Thank you. Everyone's favorite website, Go Pulse, aka the portal to see everything going on with price action. So right now, Pulse is sitting at about half of the sack rate, although that's the standard sack rate. Instead of if you're actually one of the top sackers, you get a bit of a bonus. On top of that, we got PHEX, aka just Hex, now at a little less than a penny. This one has actually had an interesting chart lately. Over the last 2-3 days, I want to say there was a bit of a bounce off of the lows. Yes, I have this on the day chart. So actually the last 2 weeks, we all the way up to about 1.2 cents, and now we're sitting back down below a cent. And wrong there. Incentive token, 275. PulseX, very, very decent price, if I say so myself. We're sitting at 4 zeros and a 239. This is about less than a quarter of the sack rate. So if you've ever wanted to get into the Richard Hart ecosystem on PulseChain, now's not a terrible time, in my opinion.
It's a juicy time to buy. It is a juicy time to buy. I, in fact, just, it was yesterday, I DCA'd into Hex. So, yeah, PHEX specifically. I did buy a little bit of EHEX as well. Not as much, right? But then, yeah, I bought a little bit of loan and earn as well. However, I'll tell you what, I was kind of looking around, And in our community chat, right, we actually we took the lows and then where we currently are at right now, and we're let's just say me and Jeff, Apex Hex, are having a little bit of an argument over which one is going to perform better. We made a little bit of a bet. I think it's going to be PulseChain. He thinks it's going to be P-Hex. But regardless of that, we decided to kind of look at the numbers of who currently is winning, right, out of the three cores. So we took the absolute bottoms, right, and then we took to where they're at currently right now. And Hex is at a 2.3x right now from the absolute lows. PulseChain is at, I think it was like a 2.9, and then Pulse X is at like a 3.6x right now. So Pulse X is winning. I guess me and Jeff are both wrong.
No, you're good. I think we might have some updated numbers from when you did your calculations. So if you go to Go Pulse, by the way, you can control your percentages based on different time periods. This one at the end, this is all-time lows. So we can see right now from all-time lows where each of these individual coins had their all-time lows. Incentive token is the winner technically because it did bottom out at like 30 cents ish, I want to say, and it's sitting almost at $3. So yeah, that's a good. That is a 7x, I believe. So with percentages, if it's 100%, that is a 2x. So you pretty much take the percentage and add 1 to it. PulseX sitting pretty healthy at basically 2.7x. PulseChain hasn't quite done the 2x yet. And then Hex, this is the PulseChain version of Hex. So this does not take into account any of the previous data from the eHex side of the house. This is purely PulseChain side. So based on all-time lows, we're sitting about 50% above all-time lows is what we're at right now. But yeah, another interesting thing to point out is this lovely number right here. We're on day 358. We're almost at a full year since PulseChain launch. Can you guys believe it's already been a year?
It's
Wait,
already
354 days is a year, right?
365.
Oh, my bad.
All
no one
good.
ever said we're good at counting over here. It's okay.
Hey, that's all right.
We know what we're about.
I don't need to count. I just need to know green candles, red candles.
Hell yeah.
That's true. I think one of the sentiments that I've heard possibly the most is that this has been a hell of a bear market and people are just ready for the bull market and are chomping at the bits to experience some gains and have those good feelings back. So one of the narratives I heard is that theoretically it's like 50 or 52 weeks after launch is when you see a large pump. I think the market fundamentals might be a bit different based on when we launched and how we launched. But at the same time, just call it shaking out weak hands for now. And every coin will have its time in the sun. I don't know if ours is just yet, but we'll see. We'll see.
I suppose we will find out then, won't we?
I think it's
True.
vitally important because technically speaking, the more weak hands you shake out, the easier it is for these coins to pump. And one thing that I heard Richard say once in one of his interviews that really like stuck with me was that he believes and he wants to reward those who believe in him. And he said, if you believe in me, I will make you rich. Right. This was actually going down into the bear. So when I add those words on to what's currently happening right now, there are way too many people getting angry, yelling at each other for no reason. I'm pretty sure that most of these people on the tweeters are literally just clickbaiting, right? But like, guys, calm down. Jesus. Just keep
I
buying,
don't know
guys.
why you're on Twitter. That's such a terrible place to be. Hop on there, post a thought, get the hell off. Man, ain't nobody got time for that. Life is short, guys. You got 30,000 days of life. That's 4 weeks of life. That's 720,000 hours. That's something around like 3.5 billion heartbeats. You ain't got time to be arguing on the internet with people that don't care about you. Fuck that shit.
Oh, I disagree with you, Will.
Okay.
Want to have an
Cool.
argument?
Yes.
Yes.
Disagree how, good sir.
I would love to have an argument. I love arguments.
All right, let's do it.
One of my favorite things.
I'm gonna go to Twitter right now. I'll meet you there.
You'll be waiting a very long time.
I mean, I know people are personally invested in the projects they build, so it's hard to tell people to stop being emotional about your hard work. But at the same time, to quote a good captain, someone named RG3, stop poking each other in the eye.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I ain't got time to bleed.
There's that. But also at the same time, yelling at people on Twitter is not going to make the price go up. Sorry. It's not. The only thing that makes price go up is pushing the green and red buttons in different orders. I mean, as like peanut brain as it gets, it's that. It's the ooh ooh ah 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 ah.
No, absolutely.
I think that Crypto Kool-Aid in the comments is quoting an old Monty Python skit. I want an argument. I'd like to buy an argument. Or oh shoot, I think that's how it goes. The old Monty Python skit. Bucket A.
True. By the way, I do have something I did want to pull up at some point, Mr. Producer, if you don't mind. Hey, look at this! It is the Munich leaderboard, and who is this handsome devil over here in second place? None other than Brandon Davis.
That's awesome.
AKA Rags to Riches himself. If you want to do a consultation with him, he is more than happy to give you either a text message or a video message or a private consultation. This is how you reach him. Look at him. What a handsome lad.
That is so cool.
Let's see. Brandon Davis, veteran father, crypto maxi. About him, he is a distinguished figure in the cryptocurrency world, blending his experience as a U.S. veteran, a devoted father, and a pioneering founder and educator in the cryptocurrency space. I like it a lot. By the way, yes, he is in a run and gun battle with none other than Tulsi Gabbard in first place. This was for the lightweights. This entire category is people that had not been on the platform before, so it's all newcomers. So there's a lot of people out there that are trying to just like really get in this and use it for the networking stuff, like we are. So take that with what you will. But yeah, we also got our other good buddy, Gary Woods, aka Funding Jim, and in fifth place.
You know, if you want your bags to pump, we should be supporting this right here. And that right there is how you get your bags to pump, is by supporting PulseChain, PulseChain's growth, right? This here is going to help out with growth. Because think about this: if Brandon goes off, what is your favorite thing to say? Will kisses babies and touch hands or whatever.
Shaking babies, kissing
shaking babies.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, if he does that with some high net worth individuals, I'm thinking that there could be quite a bit of money that is coming our way. You know what I mean?
Most definitely. By the way, we also have another fellow Hexican in here. I believe KG is the one from Internet Money, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, no kidding. Good for him.
Yes, it is. I know this face. That's the man. There you go. Expert in cryptocurrency blockchain sector, CEO, CTO of a constantly expanding crypto product. Love it. Yeah, plenty of good folks out here. And the reason that I brought this up is because this is one of the ways that we can actually expand influence, so to speak. One of the debates that I'm pretty sure Nate and I have had on this this exact show before is that whether or not we need to influence other people inside the crypto space, or we need new blood, and how to get those people into the space. This could be one of those avenues for it. Obviously, the whole goal of this is to go network with Patrick Bet-David and the entire network down there. And that is possible, influential people and more capital that can be injected into the system if you can do it properly. Also, I would argue that those are the kind of folks that are more than happy to color outside the lines, if you get what I'm saying, which is that they're looking for alternative ways to invest. This is one of those ways to do it, especially in a time when fiat currency is questionable at best, shall we say. I know that us over the DRT love to rag on the Federal Reserve and what they're doing to the money supply. That's neither here nor there. Maybe not for this channel, but at the point is, cryptocurrency is a decent store of value if you can handle the risk. The volatility is high, but the returns have also been proven to be very high as well. So if you're one of those people, this is a great space to do it. If you're not one of those people, totally fine. Still happy to talk, have a beer, hang out, that sort of stuff. So what do you think, Nate?
I think absolutely. The thing, so what's interesting is like the volatility of crypto makes people go, ooh, the dollar is a lot safer. But the funny thing is that crypto really has, well, certain cryptos, right? So what's more of a store of value? Ethereum, right? Bitcoin. So if you were to actually look at like the long term on that, technically speaking, it's only gone up, or up into the, gotta do reverse. There we go. Up into the right. So I mean, what has the dollar been doing? If you actually look at it, it's constantly dropping. You know, there's something interesting talking about like liquidity bonding, right? And people looking at, you know, one thing and comparing it to another. Okay, what is it that people usually do when they're comparing prices? They look at the dollar value, and then they look at Hex, and they're like, "Oh, Hex is way down." Okay. Well, I mean, if you're going to go ahead and look at like say Hex versus like a bunch of other things, Hex is not necessarily down. Hex actually might be winning out and it's going up. So what's interesting is it's what we put value on, right? I mean, just in your daily life, you're putting there's a liquidity bond between like milk and the dollar, right?
Yes.
Where you're looking at that milk and you're saying, okay, so it used to be this many dollars, but now it's this many dollars. It looks like the ratio has gone up on the dollar, right? Or on milk, sorry. So it's like, I'm not happy about that. Okay. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Right?
It's one of those weird like ways to wrap your mind around like money itself, which is it's very easy to look at the dollar in hand and be like, yes, I have $1. This is the dollar, and think that it never changes. But that ratio of like burgers to dollars, and then you can start substituting burgers for like car tires and seeing how all these different prices relate and what it looks like over time. It's a bit of a level up moment for most folks when it comes to economics, I think. And then truly understanding like it'll show you what the role of money is. Obviously, like us individuals, we cannot control the individual money supply like the dollar, but at the same time, it's being able to look at the playing field as a whole and evaluate where it's going and how you fit into that market.
Bro, you can look at as you're driving down the highway and you see a sign that says, if you hit roadway construction workers, you'll get a $10,000 fine. What they're saying is there's a fucking $10,000 liquidity pool for roadway construction workers. And like those signs have always pissed me off. Like I'm not a construction worker, but like 10 grand for like what what an insulting number.
Look, I'm not going to give legal advice here, but I think if you hit somebody with your vehicle on the highway, you might be looking at legal action of more than $10,000.
Yes.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I don't know why they have those signs, man. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. Like I don't know. This is I don't want this to be my little soapbox to get rid of these fucking stupid ass signs.
This
but
is
like,
the hill that Will is going to die on. Get rid of the
one,
worker
man.
signs.
It's the liquidity pools for road workers, right? And I just think that it's massively underrated. So if you want massive gains, start buying roadway workers for 10 grand, and like come the near future, like there's just going to be a massive influx of value in that market. But yeah, dude, I think that's just like a there's other things where you can like extrapolate the like liquidity pools for things. Shout out to your friend Sami. He spoke about this several months back about like how eventually the whole Uniswap formula of like determining price for things. Like companies have done this for a while, like insurance companies. Oh my god, SMO Spider ran into one of those signs and fought in court in the 20s. Oh, that is so funny. Um, there's like insurance companies, they essentially have liquidity pools for like what human life is worth, and that's how they like determine payouts, and that's like how they determine like their like how much they're going to charge people for prices and how they're going to wiggle out of their contracts here and there and later. But like all sorts of places already have these like liquidity pools worked in, like the liquidity pool of human value, and it's just like humans are worth different things for different reasons. Like when I was in the Marine Corps, I think that we had a $400,000 life insurance policy thing, or like or some sort of payout that if we like died in combat or something, then our families get like a $400,000 payout with like $100,000 funeral service stipulation thing. I don't remember if those numbers are actually correct. That's just what like my little peanut brain memory thing is telling me. But like there's all sorts of like liquidity pools for all sorts of different things, whether you want to compare burgers to tires, or whether you want to compare like ice cream cones to hammers, or all sorts of things. the idea of just like comparing two things on a chart with like, you know, the green candles and the red candles and like the Uniswap formulas and all that was I just found that to be super duper interesting. We've got Farmer
You
J.
know what I think, Will? I think
What's
you're
that?
priceless.
I'm priceless. Oh, thank you, Nate. I am inclined to agree because I think there can be only one. There can be only one Will Stevenson. Don't tell my dad. He's named the same thing. We shouldn't have to fight. That would be silly. We've
All
got
right, but we got some people in the green room right now. We are ready for them.
Oh,
Let's go ahead and let's see what we
excellent.
got here. Uh-oh, we
Hello-
got a farmer. Okay, kick this guy right
Hola.
away.
Aloha.
They got
Jay.
rid of me right away. Hola. Oh, look
Aloha,
at that.
amigo.
The hex price is trash.
I'll just
Perfect
help
time.
myself in real quick. What's up, ladies?
Aloha.
Hey,
Kinetics, how's it
Kinetics,
going,
what's
bro?
up?
Good to
I
see you
do
guys.
identify as a woman, so thank you.
Oh,
I
snap.
am
We got
for-
Kenturian.
Just
What's
to
up,
use
man?
Cleaner bathrooms, right? Just
Oh,
to use
and we
cleaner
got
bathrooms.
Kool-Aid. Holy
Boy.
smokes.
Durian, what's up? Kool-Aid.
Got
Kenturian,
all
have
the
you
My
been-
eyes on
superstars
this
and a
channel for
reject in the
1
middle.
minute, and there's a whole bunch of degens here.
You're damn
Oh,
right.
man. Kenturian, I have a question for. Have you been on camera before, bro?
Nah, man, it's my first time I'm hopping on the stream.
That's your first time, bro. Welcome to the stream.
Yeah,
Yo,
Yeah,
shout
I
out to Centurion, man. Good shit, man.
Welcome.
thank you. Yeah, I was
Excellent.
actually just working, just changing some irrigation out here. Unlike
Hell
farmer,
yeah.
I don't have farmer in my name, but
yeah,
yeah,
Well, I'm
bro.
a shitcoin farmer, which is different.
respect.
He's a different
Although I
type
did
of farmer.
do a little regular farming back in the days.
He doesn't irrigate his shit coins, so
You gotta water them to make them grow, man.
That's right. That's right.
Proper
Being
lighting.
a-
Proper lighting.
Being a poopsmith is a very important job.
hey, Centurion, what kind of crops you farm?
Mostly like grass for horses and cows and stuff, and got
Mhm.
a couple cows.
I was gonna
Nice.
say I like grass.
Yeah, not that kind of grass.
Yeah.
Not that kind of grass.
That is most excellent. Well, Kinetics and Kool-Aid and Centurion Farmer J, welcome to the FN Hangout. Zenith has stepped out for a moment while he's taking care of something. I want to ask
So-
you guys, what's new and exciting with you, Farmer? We just spoke with you over on the DGen Roundtable. I'm going to toss it on over to Kinetics. What's going on, bro? How you doing?
Well, I'm doing extremely well. We like to call it internally in our team, we call it the Gift-tastic Day.
Yeah.
If you guys are looking at coins that kind of were sleepers that weren't really advertised, GIF and PGIF are just absolutely going parabolic today. So we
Yes.
here at the team are very, very excited about that.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, could you guys tell the folks at home, give them a quick little elevator pitch, either you or Kool-Aid. Can you explain to
Ooh.
the folks
Kool-Aid,
What?
do it.
I don't elevator well. They have to go above 5. But the
What he'll
quickie-
do is he'll speak Cantonese, Larry, and I will go ahead and come in at small points, and I will clarify in three words or less.
3 words
Excellent.
or less.
Send it.
So let's see. We got a whole exciting week. So first we had Polymon on from FanForge, a mutual company that we're going to be doing digital rights management, interactive storytelling, a lot of really cool things to bring entertainment onto PulseChain. So decentralized art management with the decentralized blockchain. And then on the GIF
Bringing
Tech side,
stories from big artists out there and small artists as well, but people that are well known in the industry. Some of them Blizzard OGs from, if some of you guys might know, like Paul himself, who was on Wednesday, is the creator of Tyrael from Diablo. If anyone is familiar with that particular game, it's a small little game that someone in here might have heard of. We've got, World of Warcraft, we got Warcraft, we got StarCraft. So yeah, lots of connections there to bring stories from people who don't want to be burdened by the big studios any longer. Go ahead, Kool-Aid. Sorry to cut in. And that was more
not
than
3 words.
I know.
That was
I
not
know.
3 words, and
I
I
know.
think I said it in less.
So then we have GIF Tech on the other side, which is a really interesting paradigm that we've been building for a while, to show creation, not inflation, as a pillar, simulation, not speculation, as a pillar, no leaky boat as a pillar, unwinding the old paradigms of what people use when they keep forking ideals and not actually breaking apart the components and recombining it together, to even set the ladder of why do you need to stake? If staking inherently is both time locking and inflation. What if you could just hold your tokens liquid and get all the benefits of that? And then iBurn, which we're going to have, I believe, Tuesday. A whole bunch of us old Icasa OGs are going to get on. So hopefully Arch Max, me, GIF, Sloth, Maxim, and get a real conversation of what happened then, what happens now, and what restarting the Icasa flywheel built on GIF Tech really means for not just the T-Share ecosystem, but everything that's going on PulseChain. Go ahead, Ken.
He was very succinct on that. It's that was beautiful. I applaud Larry and his Cantonese Larry over there. So we're super excited. We really started GIF to run simulations with different tokenomics, and it's really built off of the backbone of what we've already built. Most of the code is pretty much done, like done on Pulsar to bridge over economic energy and be the first opportunity that I've ever seen on any blockchain be able to move liquidity cross chain and automatically lock it up and into different liquidity pools on different dexes. So we're starting with PulseX, obviously. V2 is the way to go there. So we took a lot of the same elements we already had, we had hypothesized and we had gone around the table quite a bit within our team, and we were certain that our tokenomics would work. GIF is really our simulation in real time to make sure it did. And we always had bigger plans for GIF, but we wanted to run the simulation first. And so we didn't really tell anyone about it because we were really just kind of testing. It wasn't a stealth launch in the way that like we only told certain insiders. We actually just put together a Telegram room, and as people came in, we started talking about it. But the beauty of it is that we've got an infinite buy and burn loop we call permeable tokenomics, where you can actually take one GIF and 10 pulse, and you can create permagif. And that permagif, 90% of that pulse that goes into that protocol fee goes to buy and burn permagif. So there's a buy and burn that goes into it. Here's where the buy and burn's really cool that had never been done before. It's built directly into an aggregator using PETITION to find the best order execution amongst all pools instead of focusing on just one hyper concentrated pool. So boom, because one thing we had talked to, I won't say names here, but one person we had talked to who has their own project out that has a buy and burn, they wanted everything to run through their pool. And we said, yeah, but your whole system breaks when people create their own pools. So now the buy and burn can't operate through that pool that you want used, that specific pool that was set up. Doesn't necessarily break it, but people can circumvent it. And so we decided, well, let's just, it was actually GIF came up brilliantly with the idea, hey, I will run it through a DEX aggregator and get the best order execution. So it buys it off of all available pairs with the best order. So brilliant. It's working like clockwork. People have found out about it. We've been on a couple streams as of late. And today we're up, we were up almost 100% earlier today.
So we already passed 4% buying or a burnt of the initial GIF sent to the dead address, which is absolutely fascinating. And it was last night 3.4, and I was like, somebody screenshot 3.69. We missed it. So that means when 36.9% of GIF is gone, somebody please get me that screenshot. I will reward you in deep many ways. So, but we need to get that because that will happen as the system compounds on itself. And it's pretty wild on what you can do with that.
I just have a quick comment. Like, I'm just amazed at how many people are building projects on Pulse. Like
for the
amount
win.
of people, like it's hard to keep up with how many projects are being built. And like I know we were right before I hopped on, you guys were discussing how down Hex is, but it just shows how early we are to this. Like the amount of projects and stuff that is being built, like it takes you a whole freaking day just to try to go through all the projects out here. It's amazing. Some of them are better than others, but like there's still a lot of quality projects out here. Well,
the way I like to equate that to, or something I'd like to equate that to, is like YouTube videos, right? Like you can have thousands of creators creating YouTube videos, but it only takes one to have that viral moment. Same's true with the blockchain. There could be that one thing that gets that outside attention that starts driving people in droves. So the more building, the better, as far as I'm concerned. We have a blockchain. Let's fill it up. Let's use it. Let's show people there's active users, that there's actual projects over here. You know, the first generation of builders on PulseChain, they were brilliant. They thought, hey, here's what the whales are using over on Ethereum. Let's create them on Ethereum. Hey, now you've got the, then you had the meme coin guys come in, and now you've got the third generation, which is people who are actually running experiments, trying new tokenomics, new things that have never been done before. And quite frankly, you can't afford because of the gas fees on Ethereum. We can do that here. This is a great sandbox here at PulseChain. So to piggyback on what Farmer Jay's here saying, I think it's a beautiful thing that we've got so many different projects. Build it and they will come, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Hey, Kinetics, I got a question for you. I think you dropped a little nugget of gold there when you were talking about the buy and burn function of the permabull idea, and then also how buy and burn functions of other tokens don't really work. Can you expand on that a little bit? So like when you say that other people's buy and burn pools can easily get like subverted or just gone around, what do you mean?
So
how does that work?
I'm not trying to call out other projects, because I think the fundamentals behind the project that I have in mind, and most of you probably know what I'm talking about, I think there was a really good start. I think the ship got steered the wrong direction not long after launch. But for example, this particular coin has a routing that everyone who builds on top of it, he wants it to route through his pool. Well, I said, well, I'm going to run some tests. I made a killing creating new pairings on Ethereum that circumvented that buy and burn and didn't ever touch that pool. And I made a killing with people trading in and out of my pools that weren't the main pool that particular person wanted to run everything through. I made a killing.
Awesome. Obviously the point, I'm not trying to like call out projects or anything, but I don't think any one person owns the idea of a buy and burn.
No,
but based on what I'm picking up from you is that if you build a buy and burn that is programmed to always run through the same pool, it means that you are bottlenecked at that area and you are at the mercy of that singular liquidity pool.
Especially as you're asking people to build their projects to route through that pool and then back to the native token on the platform. Well, people circumvent that by just creating that other token direct link to the coin everyone actually wants to go to.
I think you hit it right on the head with the bottleneck part, and that's
it's a bottleneck. 100%.
And so that's really the difference between, you know, what GIF and I try to do with being systemic designers, architects, people that build reflexive systems for a living. We consider that beforehand. And again, we try to do our simulation in real time rather than speculating if it'll work or not. But you're right. Understanding where those bottlenecks, those pinch points, and where you will be painted into a corner later are important to be understood beforehand, at least to be considered.
And that's one thing our team did really well. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother. It's all you.
Oh, I was going to say with having that bottleneck idea of like having to go through a single liquidity pool, it kind of makes sense from like the outside looking in as to seeing the incentives going on there. Cause like as a developer, you want to try to get a little rewarded for your hard work, I'd argue. And doing that is trying to go through an incentive pool that you have some sort of like collateral attached to or some reward from. However, on the other side of the house, if you're a user, theoretically, if you want to buy and burn as much as possible, going through every liquidity pool possibly available would mean that you actually get more bought and more burned, increasing more gains for the token. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, think about it. If you can get a better order execution through a different pair, you just took more of that supply off the market out of the LP and were able to burn it versus a deep, thick liquidity pool where your slippage is minimal because of the liquidity is so thick. But at the same time, there might be other pairs, even if they're more illiquid, that you can still gather more of the units you're trying to burn to get rid of in the first place.
Let's take that one step further. If we take something like, we talked about in RH Max's stream, the OG daddy of what buy and burn is PulseX. Now, PulseX doesn't bring economic energy into using the buy and burn to rubber band it harder. It's just its execution uses buy and burn in its system. So since the beginning of PulseX, I think 4% of PulseX has been burned. In 2 months, 4% of GIF has already been removed from supply, and the economic energy used to create that first loop of the process has now burned, I believe, 18% of the PGIF that was ever created. So understanding how a buy and burn is being used is more important in the long tail component conversation of what more than just what it is doing. Just using buy and burn is great. Understanding what it does more contextually is better. That's it.
Yeah.
Like
Going back to the point I was making, I didn't mean to cut you off earlier, Zenith, but
You're good,
you
brother.
just dovetailed quite well into it. Is that one thing our team was really good about is looking at where the bottlenecks were going to be and trying to anticipate them and how you can work around that. So our solution with Pulsar was, well, yes, just as you said, Zenith, you still want to have that incentive of using that main pool that was set up, but it doesn't mean it has to be the only pool that's set up. And so with like Pulsar, for example, we have that particular token paired with a buy and burn for that particular token and Pulsar, but we also had one direct to Ethereum for that reason. And I won't get into, we like to leave a lot of it murder mystery. So when that project releases, we want the community to kind of come up with some of those, hypothesize and kind of come up with some of these different ideas. But we spent a lot of time trying to look at and anticipate where the loopholes could be, where that leaky ship is, that leaky boat, as Kool-Aid and GIF like to use quite frequently.
That makes sense. So with these two ideas of the buy and burn, which is like the buy and burn through a single liquidity pool or buy and burn through most optimized pathways, in my mind, I kind of feel like we're telling the tale of two cities here, which is that there's one that's very builder incentivized and one that is very user incentivized. Do you think that there's a way to like marry the two ideas and try to provide good incentive for both parties?
I mean, there is, but go ahead, Ken. You have thought.
Yes, but the primary protocol that everyone's building on really has to have that narrative from the beginning that that's what the goal is going to be, not an us versus them mentality. And I think that can hinder people. And I get it. You're married to your baby. It's your baby. You want it to succeed. You want it to do well. And you're trying to optimize everything for that. But you're not thinking about all the externalities and the things that are going to be built on top of it and how they could actually work a little more conducively together.
That makes sense. I guess I'm trying to ask the question, like, it's not necessarily like tribalism or trying to make sure that you get yours at the expense of others, but like, is it possible to build that win-win where everyone is acting in their self-interest and being rewarded for it?
I think we did. I mean, we'll have to wait till it comes out, but I think we've accomplished that. I do, with the way that we attack the problem.
Well, I think there's also the other paradigm, but let's just say something like an acorn. You're going to round up your expenses to the change that you would have lost on that, and that's being invested. That is a user-concentric thing that they're like, oh, that's cute, click, and now it does it. The user really doesn't care at that point. If it's good for the system, it's good for the user in the long run. Now, that's the same thing that's happening with PulseX. Just because the system is being used, it's taking that extra change and tossing it into the buy and burn. If you take a narrative where the user understands what they're doing and putting economic energy into the asset that they're about to receive, and that asset has a fundamental, huge buy and burn attached to it, they know that they're adding this economic value because it's in the front end or it's being explained to them. And because of that, they're actually learning more of what's going on. Almost like if you wanted to take your acorn and slide up the ratio that, yeah, I'll take $1 extra instead of 35 cents onto the system. The question is that what is easily reflexive to the user that they just don't care anymore? It's kind of like everyone should be doing the Patreon for EcoBuilder, right? Who doesn't have $1 or $2 a week, a month, or whatever to send out real mail postcards to people? It's something that you set and forget, but it does have an economic value that's being transmuted over this way, the mail. If you give people the ability to build on something in the back end, that's dope. But when you actually give them the ability to add more economic energy into the front end, and then they get to harvest that in any way, shape that they want, that's better. You can actually do both at the same time, which I think is what your marriage was, Zenith. Is how do we?
Yeah, it becomes the sum of the parts is greater than the whole when you approach it that direction.
That makes sense. I was going to ask if it's kind of like the idea of a rising tide rises all ships. It's not that every user must be rewarded for the actions they are taking, but I can kind of see it's one of those things where it's like everyone is contributing a small amount to the entire ecosystem going up. Therefore, if you have any skin in the game, that means that you are by default going to get some sort of gain out of the fact of everyone else using it and the person that already had built it.
Well, let's take about the exact opposite end of that. We all pay Social Security here in America, but do you think that we're actually going to get it? No, we are not. We are being harvested for that in the exact backwards direction. If we can actually encourage and showcase that in a forwards direction, then not just momentum, but the use case gets not just propped up, but pushed forward. There's the difference between holding something that's breaking and there's something that's removing that and putting a better road or a better system in place. Both have their places, but it's better to at least acknowledge that this is happening because there's a lot happening under the hood that we're not addressing or just complaining about. When you actually become proactive in that situation, you're moving it forward and hopefully moving it forward for the better for all.
Okay.
Okay, so to put it in the simplest terms, then, how about like an elevator pitch? What is it that you're doing to help put more eyes on PulseChain and bring people in?
Well, Pulsar is a little different. It's a little different medium that we are advertising, so to speak, because we are talking to the Ethereum crowd, or at least a subsect of the Ethereum crowd, and showing them that, hey, we're automatically on the back end providing liquidity on this PulseChain side. Come over to this faster, cheaper network and come see what we've got going on over here. With GIF itself, it was really just an experiment just to make sure that the systems that we had created were going to work the way that we thought they were going to. And it's kind of a hint towards what we plan on doing with V2 with Pulsar as well. So GIF was not intended to get those eyes, but go ahead.
I'll just a quick comment. Yeah, there's plenty of projects already working on what Nate's saying, but what you're working on, it seems like is getting some of that Ethereum money into Pulse. And let's face the facts, Ethereum is where the money's at. It's on the Ethereum blockchain. All you have to do is look on the chain and see how much money's on there. So I think that's a great idea. Like, more people need to start, more of these developers, if they, not me, because I don't know how to develop shit. But if more developers can get into that niche of actually bringing Ethereum money into PulseChain, there go our bags.
And a lot of them just need to know we're here. Hey, look at this thing that you love, that you're interacting with over here, now exists over there, and it's got a bunch of liquidity to it, and you didn't have to do anything for it. It was all automated.
Yeah, and a lot of the whales that are in there from the initial start, they don't like centralization, which is what Ethereum's becoming. They're becoming a very centralized chain, because it's being owned by these big, like how much money does Coinbase have of Ethereum? Coinbase has a lot of Ethereum, not their Ethereum, but they're holding it. And how many validators are they? Like, these big groups are the ones that are actually have control of these validators that can make changes to the chain. It's not like PulseChain where everything is decentralized.
Yeah,
Ethereum was once like that, but it's not like that anymore.
It was once like that, and it was easy to spin up, your graphics card and to do some proof of work on Ethereum to some degree. I mean, you could still do it as an individual. You didn't have to join a pool like BTC, as the ASICs started, brought these huge players in together and just kind of centralized everything. Well, you started to see the same thing even with the validators with Ethereum. You see it today. How much economic energy does it take to build yourself a validator on Ethereum? We've got 50,000 individual validators being run, and if you go to the the validator store and check out David Feeder and check out what he's got going on, he's selling these little NUC machines that can do 1,000 validators on one machine. So it makes it, and the price of PulseChain is so cheap right now that's why you have 50,000 validators out there, is because people are able to just come on in and just add to the network anytime they want, and truly participate in a decentralized ecosystem, just like Farmer Jay's saying here.
Can I touch on that real quick?
I was gonna ask real quick if you don't mind. What's the ETH validator? It's 32 ETH to be a validator.
32 ETH.
Yep.
Yeah, that's 100 grand.
Yes.
Yeah, 32 ETH.
And
That's
as
Massive difference.
and
Well,
as Richard Hart likes to put it, it's not just 100 grand, but you just paid 100 grand to give yourself a job as a systems administrator.
Yep.
Bingo.
So if you caught my Texas Roundup snippet that we have on the GIF Tech YouTube channel, I talked about proof of power. And proof of power from the Bitcoin side is what was needed to make BTC. You used to be able to mine it. And then you had to go to mining pools because the load was so heavy. With proof of programming, which is still Ethereum, it wasn't decentralized to start. It had the ability for you to use it. And then they went into, let's say, conglomerate pools because that's where the money was. Now, touching what Farmer said, because the money's on Ethereum and we are a sister fork of proof of stake, the more that we can bind that initial money into the PulseChain ecosystem, and what we're sussing out with the Pulsar stuff is how can we take maybe forked PRCs that happen in the beginning and put economic value on that? How do we bind the economic value that's already on Ethereum into our own ecosystem to give you, as Kinetics was saying, faster, cheaper fees, but one that's already decentralized from the start because we understood all the mechanics that came with Ethereum and we deployed them unilaterally decentralized at the base root of our layer when we started, which gives it so much more complexity and diversity from the beginning as a fledgling asset, as this liquidity hasn't been fully deployed into our ecosystem. And then bringing things like FanForge in allows the entertainment industry to get on at that root layer as well, which is highly fascinating. And it's Venn diagram on how these things overlay together.
So one thing that I kind of want to circle back around to that Farmer was kind of alluding to, and some people here in the chat have been kind of alluding to it as well, is the pure amount of projects that are appearing on PulseChain, right? So there's been a lot of projects to the point where I'm almost getting a little frustrated because I'm like, I can't look at every single thing and
You
get
too.
my approval to it.
It's like,
You know, it's like it gets difficult sometimes. I gotta pick and choose, and as soon as I'm like, I've gotten one, I've looked at one. Oh, there's two others that are popping up on my radar
yeah,
now.
and then you hear about what the project's doing, and I'm like, well, that's a great idea too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, exactly. And so here's what I'm seeing, right? There's so much life over here. So much is being built out. You know, if you take a comparison to something like Cardano, right? That did very well, you know, when it first came out. But you go back in history and you check about how much building was going on over there. You don't really get too much, right? And yet Cardano itself still did very well. And so there's a kind of a funny little thing happening right now where we have so much activity on the chain, right? But yet people are looking at the price of PulseChain and it's not connecting, you know, because you would think with so much activity, the price should be going wild, right? So it kind of almost seems like I don't want to say it's being held down, but it does seem like the price is not where it should be. In fact, we're getting people, other influencers from other chains who are looking at what's going on over here in PulseChain, and they're saying something seems off. It is PulseChain and the main tokens on here are so undervalued. It's actually kind of scary. And there's secretly some buyers from other chains, like big influencers, and they're not buying a lot because they're seeing us as like, you know, super risky. But we are catching eyes just because of how undervalued we are. And so when you go on the tweeters and you're seeing all these people like, oh, price isn't taking off, it's never going to take off. It's like, well, here's the way that I'm viewing it right now. As of right now, something is pulling on this rubber band and it is going really far. And when you think that rubber band really can't go any further, it just keeps going a little bit further. And you're sitting there thinking the rubber band's going to snap and it's going to break, aka going to zero, right? But then it just keeps going just a little bit further down. Okay, so what happens when it doesn't break and it suddenly snaps up? It is going to snap, guys. So there's way too much activity, way too many good projects, by the way, too, on PulseChain for me to be able to say, no, things are really cheap right now. It's all going to zero. I'm not buying anymore. No. I'm buying more, guys. Like I'm buying a lot more actually.
In
Because
fact, if you take that as like earthquakes, right? Tectonic plates and shifting, the more energy you have that punches it forward and nothing moves, eventually something snaps. And that's how you get an earthquake. And that's how you get typhoons. And how you get all the economic mass to actually snap. That economic energy doesn't go to zero with activity. The more activity, the more it stretches the twist of it more and more and more. And eventually something snaps in one direction. Now, activity is use case. Use case is eyeballs. And yes, I was talking in another private room, be like, people are making money even though the layer 1 token isn't going off. But Jesus, give things time to mature organically instead of just being in such a rush to get rich and press the sell button, get the hell out. You're missing the point of the gold rush, and that was to get the land, to actually flag in there and get the land that eventually will be sold. They had the same example of De Beers diamonds and why that wasn't a precious stone. Why tightening the butthole of nobody gets the diamonds. However, if you're a man, you need to give a woman this to prove you're a man. This narrative does take times to evolve. And not only does it take time to evolve, you just have to understand where you are, temper the rush, temper the toxicity, and understand the very interesting organic situation that we are in. And when, as Nate was saying, that rubber band actually does snap, it moves very fast.
yeah, and then you get left behind. That's the thing. There's a lot of people that I know some of them right now that I'm yelling at them like, hey, you better get in now. They're like, I think I'm going to wait till things, start. I see some good, positive movement. I'm like, well, when you see that positive movement, we're already going to be up like a 10x and you've missed out that much. Right.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting that because like, Moxie's in the chat right now, and he was bringing something to our attention. Axis is touched on it as well, that with GIF, a lot of liquidity is being advertised by the user or provided by the people, our community. And they pay attention to what's going on and are good actors in what they do. And because these conversations were going on, they shifted the liquidity around. And within one day, it 100%ed up. And now it has more of a trader-esque mentality that you can get there. And I see Kinetics shrunk. And oh Lord.
Shrunk.
And is playing with the mic. Oh my Lord.
We have a
I was
It's on mute. It's on mute. No worries.
She wants to be part of it. She wants to talk PulseChain over here.
I know. I need to snip that. I need to remember this exists. That was glorious.
That was adorable.
I know. Kinetics got tiny, and the Shure got used.
I did not expect that. You go to answer one phone call.
I mean, we turned our back, and there's DGens running the pirate ship right now. You can't turn your back ever on anything. Can't turn your back for 1 second.
How the hell did I end up in the middle of this chat?
Hey, that's right, Mr. Farmer. Please give your MO.
She really wanted to talk too, because she was just grabbing that and like,
Yeah, but it was muted. It was muted.
Well, Farmer, the best part is being in the middle right
there
now.
we go.
You're the ultimate tic-tac-toe winner right now.
You're going to sing for everyone? No.
No.
Okay.
Now she's shy.
Adorable.
By the way, good to see Centurion. How you doing, man? What are your thoughts on the PulseChain ecosystem right now?
Man, I just passed my 1 year anniversary in crypto. I got into crypto a couple days before the PulseChain launch, right? Like I think it's 10 days away now.
That's a hell of a time to get in.
I mean, and it seemed like it was a message from God or something, and I just been aping into PulseChain. I aped in on launch, watched it go up a little bit, kept aping in, went all the way down, kept aping in. Agent J from the DGen Roundtable got me into you guys' Telegram pretty early on there, and you guys just kept saying, "Buy the blood, man, buy the blood." And I'm up on my PulseChain bag now. Even with all these red candles, it's like, man, I'm still up almost 2x. So
that is too cool, bro.
Yeah. So
excellent.
Yeah, buy the blood. When people, here's the thing that I've noticed. Okay, so when you have like all this activity, you got all the passion, you have all the influencers that are on PulseChain and all, the community is just way too strong, right? And so when you're looking at the price going like, oh man, it looks like it's going to zero, and then people start getting depressed and sad and they're fighting with each other on the tweeters, you're like, okay, so this is when you buy, because this is going to get you the max amount of X's possible. All you need to do is literally just hold. By the way, here's what I've been doing, right? I don't like sitting there holding, watching my price go down. So I put everything into farms, right? All these tokens are going to kind of go together. I've been putting them in the farms. Specifically right now, I'm in the Pulse X farms, gathering up some ink, right? And I am averaging, several dollars a day just by throwing them in there. I got a couple of ink that's coming out every single day. It's like, that is absolutely amazing, right? It's boring waiting for the big runoff or takeoff, right? It's really boring waiting for that. But hey, I'm making money the entire time, guys. So like, there's things you can do,
And then you can take that ink and LP it with something else, like maybe BBC that you also got for free. You can LP those together and compound that money. Like you said, it might be a little now, but it might be a lot later.
It'll
gives
be
you
a lot
something to
later.
do. It gives you something to do as well. And there's, with like Tetra and all the rest of those automated systems, once the automated systems come on, it's going to be convenient. But those of us that are doing it now and putting the effort in, we understand this kind of stuff, that we'll be able to utilize those scripts with more of a tentative mindset. And that's absolutely important. Instead of
you're just getting more coins. Like, you want more coins, more coins at these prices. You want more coins now.
Yeah, I don't care what the price is. I just want more of them,
Yeah, more coins the better.
Later on, it'll pay off.
There's an old adage in real estate that the money isn't made when you sell. The money's made when you buy. It's the same thing with these markets too, with crypto, with really any market. What price are you entering in at? And I mean, we can all quote, Warren Buffett with, when there's blood in the streets, but it really does come down to, when are you accumulating? Because there will be a run up at some point in time. If you're buying while there's red, that's when it's the best for you. Even though in the middle of it, there's a lot of suck that comes with it. But as Nate was saying, it just in different words. But
let's take that real estate analogy one step further. If you take the game of Monopoly, it's about buying real estate within color patches. Then if you have the right combination of patches, then you can put a house on it. Then you can put a hotel on it. Then you can upgrade.
No, sir, that's not real estate. That's Monopoly.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead, continue.
That is real estate. That is real estate. But that's the whole thing. It's like, if you build a property on something, and if you don't own the land, do you have the property? So like, owning the bedrock is always the most important. And like you said, when the opportunity to buy is there, and you have all the underlying assets to build something greater through it, then you have that throughput of the economic energy being compounded upon itself. Owning one color of a card set never allows you to buy a house or build a hotel. You need the entire suite.
I can give you a real world example of that just happened. So the Clippers are building a new stadium in Inglewood. So Mr. Ballmer had to buy up a lot of properties within that area in order for him to build that stadium. So he had to acquire those things one by one before he can lay down the foundation to his property. Although there was one holdout of a little lady that her house is going to be like at the corner of the stadium, but she was the only holdout. But everybody else sold their property. Like you said, you have to acquire plot after plot after plot in order for you to make your foundation, in order for you to put your properties on.
I've got the craziest other example of that. Remember, Pixar's Up is actually that entire story about the little old lady that held out of that hotel. And weirdly enough, when I worked at Hardsuit Labs in Seattle and Ballard, it's a 5-minute walk to the Up House. Like, it's literally surrounded by an LA Fitness, parking garage, Trader Joe's, and then this little bloody house that's now being owned by, someone to keep the idea alive. But that was the whole presence for Pixar's Up. And I didn't realize there was another thing, but that's the interesting thing about the vestige, about buying out all the properties. Why? They have to degentrify and control the situation. That for brands, that's for luxury, parking, townhouses, all the rest that have to be done when you're putting hundreds of millions of dollars into an infrastructure for entertainment. You have to control everything around the entertainment as well. So that's fascinating for me.
Kool-Aid, when you're given the analogy of owning all the same color properties, my mind went to, I'm pretty sure it's from Robert Kiyosaki, but it's the idea that, like, if you just diversify everything in your investments, you're going to be spread out and just get pretty average returns. But what the alternative recommendation was, like, really do a lot of research. Hey, believe me, I got it right there as well, brother. It's the idea that do your research and go hard in one thing that has become proven for you and that you believe you're an expert in. And that's really that idea of like grouping the eggs in one basket. It's not like going full risk mode and degenerate, but it's knowing where the gains and your successes lie and just doubling down on it.
On top of that, it's not just that, but it's actually using components within your own ecosystem that will bind on top of it. Let's look at the atom of the three little pigs, right? You want to be building a house with bricks, but you also want to make sure that brick house is next to water and a stream and agriculture and all the rest of that. Because if your house of bricks is on top of a mountain, you got to walk all the way down. Maybe the house of straw was better because of the harvestability of those resources around you. But if you're building all of those foundations together within that same ecosystem, now they're compounding and binding and anchoring a keystone and an anchor, or a keystone and a cornerstone, all at the same time, instead of just having a whole bunch of cornerstones but no connection to the bridge.
But yeah, I do agree. One thing, so kind of going off of the real estate, one thing that I've been kind of trying to, I guess, paint a picture of with PulseChain. You guys can say if you agree with this or not, but networks or chains tend to be something like, akin to like a city, right? And so the Ethereum city, a couple of people followed Richard Hart out of the Ethereum city and decided to go make their own city on this plot of land over there, right? And they called it, the Pulse City. And when there's a lot of action going on, people in other cities have a tendency to kind of look over like this and say, what? There's a lot of hustle and bustle going on over there. What is this? Right. And as of right now, we started off with only like a few houses and some huts and, small amounts of businesses. But now with all you guys building and everything and everybody else out here doing all the building, right? With all these projects that to the point where I literally cannot keep up. I'm sorry, but I can't. What I'm doing is I'm literally standing out in the middle of the city and I'm just looking around going, okay, so there's an entire city being built in front of my eyes here. And there's so many different things going on that everybody's going to start looking. I think the only thing we're missing right now is literally the green candles. Because once the green candles start taking off, people are going to come over here saying, wait a minute here, what is this economic power going on? And they're going to jump into the city and be like, oh my God, there's everything here. There's even more than on my network right now. My network is older. How long has this one been around? Oh, a year? That's it? A year and a half? Huh? So yeah,
we're gonna need like some centralized exchange listings to do that. I don't think it matters what on PulseChain gets listed, as long as something gets listed to bring in just regular people into the community.
I don't know if I agree with that entirely, because centralized exchanges, yeah, I could see that, right? And it would make well. See, here's the thing: it would make sense. It would make sense for people to be jumping into PulseChain because on the gainers of the day, right? Like on a Coinbase. I don't think that achieves people saying, "Hey, I want to go over to that network," though. Right. And that's what I'm focusing on. I'm not necessarily focusing on people.
No, not by itself. It's not going to do that.
Yeah.
I think it just gives the projects more legitimacy to the normies.
Fair.
I'll play RG3 here and try to bridge the project, the arguments, if you will. It's that, like, is the centralized exchange listing going to bring extra money into the system? Arguably, yes, but it's not because it's on the listing. It's because it's an avenue for people that are new to the system, an easy onboard that is easier than the current existing system. If you're trying to access the capital that's already on chain, guess what? It's already on chain. And if it wanted to be where you are, it would probably be there. So with the centralized exchange listing, it is honestly good marketing, and it's an easy win for people just to be able to just like unga bunga one click be on PulseChain, as opposed to go through.
The boomer money will come in.
Well, no, I'm serious.
The last job I was on, there was these two boomers that are on Coinbase. They have a portfolio of over $100,000, and that's all they keep their money is on Coinbase.
Sure.
Oh, I 100% believe you. I would imagine it's an iceberg, which is that, like, what is it? 90% of the mass is under the surface. There is a lot of people that want to stay at that surface level and will never dive deeper. But the idea is that there's so much of that content and what we're trying to get to below the surface level. And the centralized exchange listing is the idea of being above the water, so to speak, which is that there's that percent of the population, the boomers, like you said, that just want to put the money on the exchange, let it sit there, and watch number go up. And then there's another subset of people that are going to learn about it and understand how to get into DeFi and do all the things and get involved in all the projects and understand staking, liquidity pools, and everything that goes with it. But
let me dovetail into that one more question, because you have a boomer mentality that their preferred method is almost like owning all the Lamar billboards going down the road. Now, does advertising work? Just did. I looked at it. But realistically, the newer generation, do you think they really care about Lamar billboards? I mean, they'll still pay attention to it, but they're going to be served much more ads on TikTok, on Shorts, on YouTube, on Reddit, using more things. So you can address the boomer mentality of having the easy analog way in. But at the end of the day, just like fax machine maximalists, they will be outphased, because you can't not ignore that. The new generation, which all that economic value will go into, because again, the boomers are not going to be asking another boomer for advice. They're eventually going to be asking their grandkids, and their grandkids are going to be more hyper connected to the new system. Now, dealing with the sex, do you really need the sex for the coin trainability, or is it the off ramp and on ramp? Because you're dealing with two different considerations. Like when you stake, you have two things. If you learned anything from a T-share, you have protection from yourself by time locking your coins, and then yield, which technically also inflates. But those are the two differences between a time locked stake where you're earning yield or protecting yourself in time with a ladder. They're two different legs of the same analogy. The same thing goes with onboarding and offboarding. By the time it's so easy for grandma to get on, all the gains have already been made. Now, the real question is, what do we do with the ecosystem that we have to hyper build the infrastructure in real time, whether that's bridging economic energy from Ethereum, like you were talking about, Farmer, or whether that's making it where it's easier to get people onto the ecosystem, whether that's on-ramp, off-ramp, or like you were saying, what's the hot coins of the day? I mean, PulseTube has been going on forever just to figure out who's streaming where. How many people access that? Or do you just go down your YouTube list to be like, what's the next video I want to watch? Theoretically, you could schedule that like a TV show to see who's being streaming and when. But how many people go back to the old cable TV, or I guess the satellites still do it, where you can display what's going on? I have 500 channels, and oh Lord, I have no idea what to watch. That
TV Guide channel.
Yeah, there you go, TV Guide. But that's the thing. It's like who looks at TV Guide when you have 5,000 channels? You're going to stick still within your own wheelhouse of what's being suggested to you, both through advert, now through AI, and more of a hyperbolic use case of those type of things. I agree with the boomer mentality that we need to address the analog system, but the system that we currently live in is moving so hyperbolically fast that eventually it will scape everything away. Again, just like fax machine maximalism or carrier pigeon maximalism or all the rest.
Carrier pigeon maximalism.
Hey, I'd say that. Well, I mean, hey, as the crow flies was very important back in the day.
That's hilarious.
Coinbase is the new technology, and most people like don't give me like I don't leave my coins on there, and it's not from my perspective. I prefer self custody, but most people just they don't like. You try to tell them about self custody and stuff, and they rather leave it on an exchange. Like that's their and like whatever we do, we're not going to change their mentality. Like they're just not like that. They're just stuck in their ways. They like living normal lives. They just want to buy a coin on their phone really quick and forget about it. They don't want to transfer it to their wallet. They don't want to secure it. I mean that's all of us here. We want to do that. I would never trust my coins on an exchange. I try to get them the hell off there. But most people don't see it that way, which is unfortunate.
Well, you use it like the bathroom. You get in, do your duty, and you get out.
Yeah, but that's us because we know better.
Bathroom. A public.
Yeah, we know better. They don't want to know better.
Yeah, that's the thing. They don't want to know better. You know, and there's a certain subgenre of people that are a little bit older, boomers, who
even young.
They are willing to blindly trust the news, right? Now, I think the millennials are the first generation to go, no, sorry, I don't believe you anymore. and then it's kind of moved on from there. However, there's enough older people with a lot of money that are just going to say, oh, you say all I need to do is get this new app thing from this touch phone thing, and I can push some buttons, and there's a brand new way for me to make tons of gains and money that's not the stock market. It's like penny stocks, only better. Wow, let me get into that. And they trust the government, and they trust the centralized exchanges to not rug them, because that you can't get scammed on Coinbase, right? So that's the way that they think, right? Now, if you can get into their heads about how they think, as soon as you start talking the deeper level of making your own wallet, and then make sure it's the correct MetaMask, and then get your seed phrases, and then send them over, and it's got to be the right network, like, you've lost them. They just
There's only a certain amount of like ontological shock that a human being can take, and that's like when your entire worldview is flipped into something that you don't know and understand. And so you have to be very careful when dealing with these type of people. And again, this kind of ties back to the sales portion that we were talking about earlier on Book Club, is you have to, like, if you want to sell people an idea, they have to be like open to the idea, and they have to be interested in the idea. If you're trying to onboard boomers that are like that want to keep their money on Coinbase, it's like, fine, sure, that's their thing.
It's not just boomers, it's the boomer mentality. Boomer mentality.
I'm going to push back on you guys a little bit here. Is it that the boomer mentality, or should we be asking the inverse question, which is, does self-custody require distrust of institutions? Or is there an actual benefit? Or how can you sell the benefit of self-custody outside of, I don't trust those people? There needs to be a benefit or a reason to take extra steps. This is something that I think Will and I have talked about previously, which is that people are going to try to do the least amount possible. So, as someone trying to build things or sell things, you want to make things as easy as possible and require as few steps as possible. Self-custody inherently is an extra step. So, it's going to take a little bit of salesmanship to say, like, what is the reason to get that person to take the effort and take, honestly, the risk of self-custody to do it? I think it has to be more than just institutional distrust, even though, to be honest, like, with a little bit of like retrospection or introspection, like, a lot of us in the crypto community do have that ingrained into us to some degree, which is that we don't trust centralized exchanges, whether or not it's because we've looked at like FTX collapse or anything else that's gone on, but also maybe with just like the fiat currency in general. There's that little like vein that runs through everybody. So how do we sell self-custody in the positive light?
No idea, but it's like you said, hold up, just real quick. Like you said, that risk factor, I don't think most people want to take that risk factor. Like, they don't want to be responsible for keeping track of their own keys. Like you're right. Like, how do you get people to buy into that idea? Most people do not. They're like, if Coinbase loses it in their mind, I'm going to get reimbursed somehow. They'll take care of me. They'll do right by me. And that's most people's mentality. That's most people's mentality when it comes to that's not my mentality. That's most people's mentality when they trust in these corporations, that they're gonna make them whole one day. That, oh, they'll take care of it. I'll call up customer service, and since I'm dealing with a company, when you're talking about your own seed phrases, there is nobody to call. It's all on you. And I think most people don't want that responsibility. They want to push it off to somebody else, to a third party. Yes. So send me your seed phrases and I will keep your money safe for you.
Hell of a sales pitch there, Jay.
I think that if these are the type of people that we're targeting, then we're selling to uninterested buyers. Your time would be better spent if you focus on people, if you find people that are interested in in learning this sort of thing. Like, if you spend your time trying to convince people that are like milquetoast or on the fence or whatever, or like, not that aren't enthusiastic buyers, then you're going to be wasting a lot of your time. And like, something that we can do, like, we can't force people to like the thing that we like, but we can create more likable things, and we can make other things that fill different niches. Like, Zenith, you and I were talking about, and I don't know if Kool-Aid can still hear us, but like, I'm gonna hold you to your promise, Kool-Aid. I'm gonna bring you those calzones. Hell, if you're busy or if you're free tomorrow, I will swing down there and hand deliver them to you, good sir. But like, Zenith and I want to create basically a single button click thing that will just fucking, like, you single button click and then you get a Quattro Cinco hex stake, like from the TradFi, like using some sort of like automated system with Coast, bridge it all the money immediately, like market buy whatever amount. Like there would have to be like a set amount of money in the PulseChain side, and then a set amount of money that like comes in, goes to the bridge. But while it's doing that whole bridge process, it spends the money that's already on the PulseChain side, buys the hex, automatically Quattro stake it, throws it in an HSI, and then like on the back end, like you figure out some way to send that HSI to some sort of self custody wallet later on. But like you get them that immediate instantaneous win, like the TradFi guys that want to, that want to lock their money up, but they don't know how, like they don't want to learn how to bridge and do a hex stake or whatever. They just want the product. They just want the end stake result. So I think that's one of the way, like, and I mostly want this for me because I'm selfish and I don't want to spend the time doing the steps. But like, I think, things like that, things like what you guys are doing with Pulsar, things like what, things like what Coast is doing with their super duper easy on ramps, things like what the Tang Gang is doing with their NFT, like talking between chains. Like that's a little bit more for people that are already in-house, but like some sort of like super silly, I think if there were more like one-click button solutions, just like, which is what basically Coinbase is. Coinbase is a one-click solution for like boomers and people that don't know anything, that just want a simple like dopamine hit or want a simple win or something to that extent. I think if there's more of that sort of thing, then you can onboard a lot more of the folks that don't know anything about crypto but are just kind of like chilling out and interested. Maybe like I'll throw a couple grand here, or I'll throw a couple bucks there, or whatever the case may be. So
absolutely, Will. I can solve this right here. Are you ready for this?
Let's hear it.
Yeah. Very bold.
Okay.
Sir.
So it's actually the most complicated problems have the simplest of answers, and the simplest of problems have the more complicated answers. As of right now, we are dealing with a complicated problem. So there's a very simple answer to it, okay? All you need to do is you simply need to look at what is it that a centralized exchange, like what is it that they do, right? How do they connect to networks? And then simply build one for your network that buys directly as somebody. It's kind of like you could use it as a decentralized exchange almost, except it'd have the safety and the ease of use of a simple app, just like Coinbase does. And the onboarding works the same, like use Coast for it or something like that, right? Have it connected into it, and then have like PETITION or something, or PulseX connected into any of the swaps happening there. Put the front end usage exactly like, some centralized exchange would be, and then just simply connect it onto the chain itself. See, the problem with centralized exchanges is that it's a centralized company. But if you decentralize the centralization while still calling it centralized, people would feel safe. It'd be easy, simple clicks, right? And then you're buying directly off the network itself.
I think the interesting thing, and by the way, Will, I'm always watching, so you can come down, but the house is even more wrecked than it normally is. But we can actually put some stuff together if you want to come down, and we'll be productive adults. If you look at what Hex Scout is doing to make the learning utility with your hex stakes and the ability to have more decentralized control, I think it's a good start. I do agree that, and I put this in the notes before I went to go smoke, that we have the opposite boomer problem right now, is that there's not an attachment to value of time to put your time in. Time is the one thing you can't buy back, and knowledge is the most expensive token in the world. How do you bind those two things together? So yes, having the one-click throughput is good, but I think we need to encourage people to get more involved. That way they understand, so each one teach one. The more people that go out there that can give people short snippets or clips to get them around the complexities in the beginning, that is fantastic. But we're already moving into an automated AI, automation-based focused world. So those people that aren't paying attention, it's going to bite you in the butt regardless. You are going to be left behind. You are going to have a walled garden around you. Just like, let's just say, a 80-year-old person that still has an AOL email account that doesn't know how to bill or pay their bills online. Those things are actually moving in real time. Now, yes, I do agree with the convenience factor. However, what if you got paid to be entertained? What if you got paid to learn? This new paradigm we're walking into, all of these options are on the table. As designers, developers, influencers, people that are understanding this tech, how do we get to that point that someone's rewarded both fiscally, unilaterally, and convenience-wise to get them to learn? That is the more important than the one-click ratio, is how are we incentivizing people besides greed or fear? Because when you're looking at why do I take my money off of sex? Well, and I was typing this in the chat, no one in most financial fiat reality has experienced a bank run. I mean, in recent years, remember the toilet paper run of COVID 2020 or whatever it is?
Yes.
Like, you don't realize the problem till you can't wipe your ass. And now it's a very, very, very big problem. It's shitty, no pun intended. So
cool. Those are just the people that are not bold enough to buy hand wash instead.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Remember, you have so many dynamisms to this because, you know, in every roll of tinfoil, there's one free hat. It's up to you if you decide to put it on. It is there. I promise you, it is there.
Yeah, I think that's the problem.
Go ahead, Centurion.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say, I think that's the problem is there's no necessity to learn to get off this centralized exchanges right now. I wasn't here for the FTX stuff, but like a lot of normies and stuff, when they get into crypto, I mean, what's wrong with Coinbase? I downloaded it on my iPhone. Seems safe enough. I don't know, unless there's something dramatic that happens with one of these exchanges, then why would they take it off there? And when you're trying to make a one-click buy into PulseChain and get it on a centralized exchange, it kind of, I'm not sure if it defeats the purpose of PulseChain, but like a centralized exchange would have to hold a decent chunk of Pulse to be able to, you know, swap it on their exchange, which would make them a huge whale. So then if another government regulation or something like that came up, I mean, that would just, they'd probably just sell it all because they wouldn't want to be involved in it like Uniswap did with Hex. They would say, well, we're just going to wipe our hands clean of this and just walk away. So that's kind of my concern with putting on like a centralized exchange listing. Be great for eyeballs, but
Zenith, nice hat. I put too many monitors and then I just look over and I'm like, support.
No, you're 100% correct, Centurion. And that's very well spoken. So when your network grows, okay, you are going to have those problems. Okay, that is going to be something that is going to happen. However, with the more liquidity that comes in, the more that you do have bigger whales with a lot more money, right? Want to protect that money even more, because once you hit a certain level, it's no longer about getting the gains, right? If you have $1 million, you are less worried about getting 100x than if you got $1,000. But if you have $1 million, you're more worried about not getting rugged, okay? When you put your million in. And so you'd be happy with like maybe a 10x or perhaps even just a 2x, right? The other thing is going to be the safety and like say, I don't have to hold on to this coin and wait for it to 100x. I can just put it into a farm and live off of that yield. And then I can use that yield to do whatever, right? There's also that. And so because of that mindset, what's going to happen is, you know, there will be some people, some big whales that are going to dump if something like regulations pops up, right? But other people are just going to sit there and say, hey, let's just let this blow over. I'm just going to keep getting my yield. It should be just fine. And I'm just not going to do anything with it. And now the liquidity is in the entirety, you know, the market cap is higher. The total liquidity is higher in the PulseChain network, which means that you're not really going to be getting as massive dumps, right? It takes more liquidity to move the price, okay? And so just because one whale went out, you still onboarded 10 whales. And so now you've got 9 of them that are sitting there holding, right? So that's where you get the risk. The more popular you become, the more risk of people wanting to dump, yes, and also getting eyeballs from like governments and stuff trying to regulate. But you also have more believers, more people who have learned, right? And who can get around, like, say, regulations and things like that, and will continue to use and or spread the word about your network. And so that ratio actually goes up of more people, more bigger players are helping sustain the network. than the ones that are panicking and leaving.
It's interesting because you take a Metcalfe's law and Moore's law and bind them together into a bonding curve, and you can do that through more users or more heavyweights, right? More economic value is almost as equal value as the mob of more people. But ideally, you court both. That's why, again, as Farmer was saying, that the entire block of an area is now being bought out for an entertainment stadium, because you need that throughput of the breezeways available for whatever economic value you need to put into that, whether it's tear down, rebuild, retool. It's just very interesting because when you need the bigger players, as in weight, you can see the corruption that builds. Was it BlackRock that owns almost most of the properties? And that's why houses aren't available, only rentals. It's the same paradigm with toll roads. Why are you having a private company make a toll road that now that restriction of traffic is in perpetuity owned by that particular entity? They can raise any volume that they want on that because that's their intellectual property, if you will, for them to charge whatever they want in the future. Not say it now, but later. They do own the control of that throughput of value. And so understanding all of those together is, I think, an interesting simulation, something to study and something to be aware of. And that's what not a lot of people are doing, is paying attention to these components as building blocks.
I don't know what happens if you don't pay the tolls. I've never tried it, but I've heard. Okay.
Do we really want
a million cameras on the toll roads?
No.
Depends on the toll road.
I probably shouldn't share this. Let's just say that you happen to have a vehicle that has a truck in the column pre-passes, or you have a toll mixing thing over there. If you decide to move, let's just say, and go away and come back to a particular state XYZ later, and you register your new car, but you never put up their toll meter for some bloody reason, they don't charge you. Because believe me, some people may check to keep paying the bill, and the bill never comes. Though those cameras technically are reading your license plate, you know what they're really reading? The toll reader that goes over there, and they're not quantifying one to the other. Again, if you study and build fake reality, in real reality, people are lazy. There are mistakes to be made. And yeah, I wouldn't say don't pay the bill, but leave an old reader up and just curious as a simulation what happens. Because I'm still, well, not me, some people would say, curious to see how and why I am trying to pay this bill, but it's just still zero. I don't understand.
That's funny.
I
have a friend who's over in New York, is the reason I mentioned that, and he does it like if you guys have ever been to New York, I don't suggest going. Other than the 24th of October, be there, be square. I'll be there, so I'll see whoever the hell is going to be there. I think Zenith said he's joining me. Nate has shown intention to want to go, but I can't speak for if he's committed or not. But like over in New York, my buddy drives up and down like Interstate 87 and Interstate 95 all the time. He's just like, yeah, I just don't pay the tolls and nothing bad's happened. So like, if you're in a state that doesn't enforce another state's like toll roads or authorities or anything, like I don't know if there's any sort of applicable analogy for cryptocurrency and what we were talking about before we, like, I took us down this tangent and anything. But
I love tangents. I love tangents. But the difference is understand the system that you're playing in and how you cross into it. And maybe you can harvest it to your advantage. However, it's a curious thing to pay attention to. If you're not paying attention to all the components that's happening around you, you may get a perk. You may get some yield. You may not also get slapped if you do the wrong thing. But not paying attention and just pretending like it doesn't exist, it disservices you from growing as a human, from growing as a community, from growing as a village. And so all of those tenements, I think, are important, but realizing that you always have to pay some kind of a toll. Like we were talking about Social Security, like we were talking about that you don't have the ability to buy property cheaply anymore. Or even the simple fact that if you stable out your coin, why are you not addressing the fact that a stable coin is still tied to a dollar and a dollar inflates? So you're not actually getting around anything by not paying attention and taking the cheap, easy way out. Remember, cliff notes get you to the top of the cliff that you did not belong on. You will fall.
I like that analogy. Gentlemen, I got to hop off and head to bed. It's been nice chit-chatting with everybody. Zenith, Nate, Ken, Centurion, Farmer, Kool-Aid. Y'all have
Good to see you, bro.
Excellent
Good
night.
night,
Kool-Aid, I will be reaching out to you, and I'll see you tomorrow, broski.
I'm just going to text you the code to get in. So you just come in on in, and I'm going to be working at night, and we'll see you in the evening tomorrow.
He's going to surprise you.
Well,
no, he has
place doesn't open till 4 p.m. So whatever 4 p.m. plus travel time. So I will be arriving with sustenance.
You're a gentleman and a scholar, buddy. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Gentlemen, y'all have a good night. Love you. Bye.
See you later, bro.
He's my my Marine that has guns that brings me food. It's the craziest thing in the world, and he's such an awesome person.
Well, I think we have time for a good old rant from Briz.
What's up, DJs?
Oh my lord!
Oh no, Briz, I'm so sad. He came onto our Whiskey Wednesday here last Wednesday, and he was a literal floating head, and he is not wearing his green stuff anymore.
No. I've got some right here.
Price went up, and he was able to get his body.
Briz Connect.
I got my body back.
Fuck yeah.
How's it going, guys? You guys
talk, Briz?
You guys ready to have your wallets pumped the fuck up?
Maybe just a little bit.
I'm ready, bro. I'm ready.
All right. Well, you still got a year and a half. Okay?
I thought it was at least 4 weeks.
Rude.
I mean, it's like relatively around the corner. You know, it's every 4 years, guys.
Is that happening thing you would be talking about?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
You
got a hood on your car yet?
You don't have to wait that long, Briz. Usually, Bitcoin doesn't take a year and a half after the halving. Well,
hell yeah, it does. It always takes a year and a half. It's always Christmas time of 2025.
But Briz, this time is different.
Hell no, it's not different. The only thing that's different is that there's going to be more money than in 2020. So get excited. We got that BlackRock money pouring in. It's going to be great.
You hear that?
What I need you guys to do is quit onboarding people, because that's going to be my competition for taking profits at the tops. So, so no more onboarding. All right, guys, just leave it for us.
Is that what Briggs is? Is that the Briz exit?
To take money at the top? Hell yeah.
Yeah, the Briz exit is all of us here.
Hell no. I promise I'm not going to dump on any of your heads.
But you will be dumping on grandma.
Hell no. I'm not going to be dumping on no one, because I'm actually going to be generating my own stable coins when the time is ready. That's right, guys. You know about the Flex protocol? What about
that's right.
Earn protocol? Dude, guys, we can turn Pulse X and now Hex into stable coins. You can take a loan off the collateral of your Hex. And basically what that means is that you get to cash out without selling and without murdering the price and without pushing slippage against yourself.
No, 100, because I always said that technically impermanent loss actually is a way for a whale to cash out correctly with not touching a candle. Technically, getting closed on a vault is the exact same way, because you're putting it as the utility to close when you know that you're using it, rather than to borrow without needing those tokens or doing something silly with them. Right? If you use it, yeah, that's a strategy right there. 100.
And if the price drops like 90% again, 95%, doesn't matter. You got your stable coins. You can use those to go buy up the cheap assets.
You can rebuy the coins that you just got liquidated on at a cheaper price.
Yeah, exactly.
Boom.
It's almost it works almost like a stop loss.
It actually works really good. There actually is a pretty good strategy where I remember there was this one we were laughing our butts off in the DGen Roundtable community, which joined that, by the way, is a great Telegram community. But we were watching this one whale, and his slippage, like he dumped a lot of pulse, and his slippage was like a huge amount of money. And we were laughing so hard because we were like, at that point, all you needed to do was put in a vault, basically max out the vault as much as possible, let yourself get instantly liquidated, and you would have saved. He would have saved, I think it was like $200,000 extra based on the slippage, just because of that alone. And we were just laughing at this whole thing happening.
Too many clicks, man. They want it simple and easy. One click. Where's the money printer? Turn it on. Where's the one-click money printer?
2 clicks is too many.
Yeah.
You know what's hilarious is I can teach you that stuff too. That's one of my specialties, is making money printers, because I'm way too busy. I work like 12 hours a day. Not right now, actually. Now I'm doing 10 hours, but yeah, I work too much to be able to go through all of this stuff, and plus all the new protocols. Which, by the way, if you don't mind, Briss, so is Flex like the liquid loans or earn protocol, but for Hex now?
Yep, 100%.
Oh, sick! All right, cool. I'll take
100% the exact same thing as the earn protocol.
I think it's Power City. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
all under
Power
Power
City.
City. So, you know, Pulse Jesus, Toshi, Jesse, all those guys are very good friends. And it's all forks of Liquidity. So just understand how you're using the tool with anything. If you're using the tool correctly, then it's good. You know, I use the analogy, as Ken loves my Captain metaphors, that if you have a supercar, do you really want to entrust it to a 16-year-old, especially on an icy, snowy mountain? An adult will use a tool correctly in the position it needs to be. If you use a tool incorrectly, I don't care how cool the car is, you're going to crash and burn going down. And so just understand what you're doing for the use case. And I love your cap, Chris. But yeah, just understand the tool and what it's being used for, right? It's the difference between a knife, a fork, and a spoon.
And if you don't understand the tool, check out the DGen Roundtable. I think, Nate, you had Walrus and Jesse on at different points. You guys had like 2 or 3 hour videos with each of them. You guys talked about a bunch of different strategies on using those. I watched them both like 3 or 4 times each because I didn't understand anything about leverage. And I'm like, I want to know what I'm doing before I put myself into a position, before I use these kind of tools, or I could get yourself in trouble.
Right.
Absolutely.
But why wouldn't you want to know what the tool does? You know,
I'll tell you a great way to use the Flex and Earn protocol, and this is how, you know, it went down in value, but now I'm sitting on like a $15,000 money printer free of charge. And that's what you do is you go take your assets and you get a loan, right? And then you're going to get, you know, say you're on Earn protocol, you're going to get PXDC. You take that PXDC and you just buy 50-50 another stable coin and PLS. And now you can go into the PulseX farm and start liquid providing with all that money. And now the money you earn in that farm in ink, you use that to pay back your loan, and now you get back all of your PulseX that you put in for the loan, and you have a free money printer. Boom. And
Gray
it just
on
depends.
eating strategies, my favorite. Gray
Yes,
on
it's
eating
so
strategy.
simple. Even a caveman can do it.
Even I could do that. That's better than the caveman.
And yeah, so I mean, it's boom. That's how you do it, guys.
What's the stable coin called? Is it P
On
XDC
is PXDC, and then on Flex it's called HexDC. Hex
okay.
dollar coin.
I love that they're using those wordings. I love it when there's so many fun things you can do with Hex, you know.
100%.
When we gonna get that GIF Tech pointed at Hex?
Just trust me, there's a lot we haven't unveiled yet, but
Fire up the turbochargers, baby.
The first round is to get the ICOSA auctions going again and respawn the utility of eHex and pHex technically, or yeah, both of them actually through this iBurn. So you're gonna be able to use your ICOSA in a new way next Friday is when it launches. So
it's the interesting thing of looking at components and walking them backwards to their natural route. Because if you do that, you're actually rubber banding that system that Nate was talking about. Instead of starting at the very bottom, you walk the components backwards to keep creating tension as you go back to the underlying asset to actually smash
bro trader. No, I'm not drunk. I just talk at 0.5 speed.
It sounds
okay.
normal when you put them on 2x.
Yeah, but I sound normal if you put me on like 0.25x.
What's Moonmud talking about? I can't even decipher his comment.
What the fuck, Moonmud?
Man, Kinetics, what have you been telling your audience about me?
I love you, Briz. I've never said a bad word about you, man. I promise. I promise.
I want to go ahead and just answer Bro Trader real quick here. Yeah, you don't necessarily need to open up like a vault or anything to actually do these plays, whether it's liquid loans, earn, or flex now. Generally what they do is you can either buy the stablecoin itself and just go and throw that into a farm and then just get, just get rewards from the system itself off of that, or just buy its token, like loan, earn. What's the one for flex? Is it just flex right now?
It's called flex.
Okay, flex. Yeah, just buy flex and then just stake that as well, and you get earnings off of that. So it's not necessarily leverage plays. You can mess around with the vaults if you want to. I would consider looking into it first before you do something like that. But otherwise, there are safe plays on it too, where it's literally just yielding, and it's usually pretty good yielding, very safe as well. So
remember, though, there's also another dynamic that we're exploring over on GIF Tech, which is the creation, not inflation model. And both of those are very interesting if you're actually thinking about leverage as in not leveraged as in risk, leverage as in economic energy moving in the correct direction, right? If you think about a snowflake creates a snowball that creates an avalanche, that's leverage of gravity. And it really depends on what you're understanding on that system, because no resistance with gravity means it keeps going and accelerating, compounding by itself until it reaches terminal velocity. Now, if you have multiple things reaching terminal velocity, not to get complex, now you can leverage that against itself. So inflation yield is more token go up versus number go up for token being deleted, deflationary. So like using both of these tools together is very, very, very important.
And in my opinion, I kind of want to really just spread the word about these flex and earn protocols.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's you, my Lord and Savior, Bitcoin.
He went there.
I really think that learning how to exit using those protocols, if the whole community could do that, dude, we could be literally way richer than we could all possibly imagine. I mean, just imagine if we all collectively make like $1 billion and then we all take out loans, and now we have an extra, say, I don't know, $500 million to just buy more assets that are now all locked up.
Nah, I just overdosed the next day.
Yeah. You'd overdose on that weed if that were to happen.
Oh man.
The only caveat I have to these lending protocols is let's get that liquidity thickened up first, so there's not slippage on the going from one stable coin to another when the time comes.
Agreed.
And I don't think the liquidity is there to bridge out or to swap out if you had a couple $1 million to swap your PXDC or Flex into USDC or Ethereum. I mean, there's only going to be so much liquidity there with those tokens to be able to, because you're not gonna be able to bridge out PXDC or Flex. There'll be no liquidity on Ethereum for those, I don't think.
By the way, I'm dropping a link in the chat right now. Mr. Maximus J just gave me the link to PGIF and GIF Explained, apparently from the clips last night. So I haven't even gotten to see it yet. So make sure if we get done with this, you
2 minutes ago it was posted.
Well, yeah, he was telling me the stuff, and I just saw the message.
Still no views on the video.
I think he meant eGIF and GIF.
eGIF.
Nope, it's not from Ethereum. GIF is originated on good old. Its homeland is here on PulseChain.
GIF Tech starts on PulseChain.
So one last thing that I like to go through, and then I do believe we got to start closing out if I'm correct. So I think maybe I'll just kind of start that up, right? Is why not, right? So as of right now, the Forge, you know, they got their whole thing that it's launching right now, the NFTs and all that. But they also now have 7 projects that are going on. We do support them. It's a really good project. But our own Apex Hex, Jeff, right? He's got his own Pulse Farm idea. Now, the idea behind Pulse Farm is literally that you're going to be able to afford to be a validator, right? But then on top of it, with all the fees and the taxings going on, it's actually going to burn Pulse. So there's going to be a buy and burn with Pulse.
Nice.
Now, okay.
Do you know what the ratio is?
What was that?
What's the ratio or percentage?
We're still kind of going through that right now. We're actually coming up with the idea now, right? And this is something we want to do, but now we need to start going through. Actually, we're looking for people to actually help us out with that. We're kind of in that process. We're hunting. We're out here hunting for people, right? If you want to go ahead and get involved in this Crypto Kool-Aid, that'd be pretty cool.
I can try. I'm in so many things, but I can at least coach you in the right direction.
That would be awesome.
Design and architecture is what I've done for 18 years. So
that'd be fantastic, because there is we are looking for people, right? As of right now, it's literally just me and Jeff, and then Brendan has the okay on this. He also is kind of putting us into other, rags to riches. He's put us into some directions as well. So we're just kind of looking around, but the idea is there. We want to start creating it. But yes, we're going to be looking for a crowdfunding over on the Forge. It's going to be one of the, the launch pad. It's going to be kind of going through there. So if you guys could go over there and just take a look at it and give it a review, like an honest review, please, if you think that something needs to be improved or anything, please go say it there, because that way we were able to actually go through, look at it, and then consider it for, improving this. So that way, not only is everybody's bags are going to be pumped off of this, because it's literally buying. It's a forever buyer going to be buying and then burning, which means never selling all your Pulse bags. Okay, guys. So yeah, go over there real quick. Otherwise, I am the Ascending Man, Nate McGettit, right? You can find me over the DGen Roundtable. I have my link tree in here. Whoopsies, I forgot. I got to do it like this because they do things. Could you put that out there for me, Kinetics? Yeah, I think that, Bro Trader, I think that is what we're looking for right now. Basically like coding and stuff like that. There's more details actually over there with specifically what it is that he's looking for to help develop it. This is very early, right? But we got great opportunity here, and the idea has been discussed at length with Rags to Riches and Jeff, and this is something that could really, 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 really help out PulseChain. But yeah, so also go follow me on my Twitter. I am kind of like us in the GGM Roundtable in general. I know Zenith will, and Centurion Farmer will attest to this. We're over there. We're level-headed enough to not get involved in so much drama where it seems difficult oftentimes to even like turn on the Twitters and to go into and hold bags and stuff like that, because we've talked some people off the ledge where they're just like, oh, I'm gonna pull out, everything's gone, and we're like, whoa, let's stop and think about this for a second before you make a huge mistake. So yeah, we're always there for you. Go ahead, get into our DGen Roundtable community, and you can actually, it's in my my link tree right down there. And yeah, so Zenith, where can the people find you?
I am actually going to kick it over to Centurion 54. And by the way, if you don't mind, I opened the stream, so I'll close her out. Seems only fair, right?
Yeah, stop trying to take away his place.
Dude, I love the energy on the intro. I gotta say, I love the energy. It was great.
Hey, trying to bring some entertainment while Captain's gone, because I know I'm not him, so.
Hey, could have fooled me. All right. Yeah, I just had one question for everybody here on the panel here today. Out of all the RH coins, where they're at their price today, which one would you say is the most undervalued at this very moment?
Hex, and that's why I DC'd into it.
PX or both Hex?
Both actually. So mostly PHEX, a little bit of EHEX. I'm still looking at EHEX like it's basically a scratcher. So I'm not like dumping money into it like it's a core.
Okay.
I think PulseX is the most undervalued RH asset at
That's
the
my
moment.
answer too, PulseX.
What about you, Kool-Aid?
Well, it depends. I would say you're using undervalued asset in the USD terms of the asset, which has no building on it yet that people that like to build may be considering. That would be Inc. Now, bindable utilities on top of what EHEX and PX are doing, there's already people working on that kind of stuff in between Flex, what we're doing with iBurn to restart it from the component level up to go backwards. Because again, where our baby ICOS is created, Hex. So you can use that system reflexively. PulseX in and of itself is a utility on top of PulseChain. Both of those have liquid or a liquidity fork on top of them. But how all those tools are going to be binded together at the same time of a floor of all coming up together, that's going to be more important than actually someone picking out of a straw list on what they're going to do, because all of them will reflexively work on top of each other because they're built at the same time. They're set with the same floor, and ideally they'll all work interchangeably with their same utility.
I don't disagree with that. And I think going back to PulseX, I think it's got the best tokenomics other than Hex, honestly, in the way it's got a fixed supply and it's being burnt. It's got a great burn mechanism. But I have to be honest, I think it's Pulse. I think Pulse is going to be the big winner come shake out at the end of this. I think it will be the rising tide that floats all boats, and it's going to be the first thing people come into as they cross that bridge.
Yeah, you need gas.
Buy them all. Just buy them all.
I think that incentive token was slept on for a long time, and the overall IQ of the PulseChain space has risen, and people are realizing that incentive token is a real thing and is not a down and to the right forever token. Additionally, the emission schedule is going to fall off of a cliff very fast, and it also has a buy and burn function on top of that.
How do you know the emission schedule is going to lower?
Because
it works like Bitcoin. It has it happening.
Has it happening every year?
Every 1 year.
It's not even every 4 years.
Is there like any evidence of this? Because I cannot find any evidence of an actual happening.
Well, I told you online, so
it's got to be true. If you heard it on the internet, it's true.
Trust me, bro.
I mean, technically, we haven't had.
I think at one point in time, I heard it was like 3 per second. So it's like,
it goes down by like 11% of the existing inflation rate yearly.
And so we haven't actually been alive for a full year yet. We're
I read it on a porta potty on a job site. And it must be true.
That and that one girl's name and number. What was her name?
I will say this. I've been farming ink for most of the year, and I have noticed the amount of ink I'm receiving has pulled back a lot.
No, that has nothing to do with the halving. That's more of a. That's
a lot more people aping into it.
The price went up, so because the price went up, your APR stayed the same, but now you get less ink. You still have the same dollar amount, but now you get less ink. When it was like 30 cents, it was nice. I was just racking up ink.
Further investigation.
Farmer, when did you learn all this?
Huh?
When did you learn all this, Farmer? What the
Farmer
hell?
Jay, I be shitcoin farming, bro. What
That's
the fuck?
right. It's in the name. He's an ink farmer. He's a farmer.
Yeah, those were my first farms on PulseChain. I think I bought the cheapest I bought ink, which wasn't a lot. It was like 50 coins at like 29 cents. And I put together my first farm and I just started farming. And like I said, I take some of that ink and I fuse it together with other freaking free tokens I get and make other farms and just slowly farm. It's not much now, but hopefully one day it'll be worth something.
It's not much, but it's honest work.
Yeah, it's not much, but it's, somebody's got to. Somebody's got to farm it.
I just went down the rabbit hole of talking about incentive token, why I think that it's definitely been slept on and that the tokenomics are good. However, I think Kinetics actually has the correct answer for the question, which was what is undervalued currently? And I do think the answer is PulseChain. And I think that because what's the name of the chain? PulseChain. What's the gas token? PulseChain. It does not have nearly the same amount of people that sacked for it as PulseX, in my opinion, because the thing that I observed was that the Pulse sacrifice closed, and then the PulseX sacrifice opened, and everyone who missed the Pulse sacrifice got into PulseX, and the people that were in Pulse also sacked for PulseX, which means that, in my personal opinion, the amount of holders and the amount of supply for PulseX is greater than the amount of holders and supply for Pulse in proportion to the sacrificers, so to say. And that's also partly based on price right now, because incentive token is 7x off the bottom. Pulse is 1.7x off the bottom.
So, who do you, what do you think out of the three, right? Pulse, PulseX, and Hex. What do you think is going to perform the best this cycle?
Me.
Oh no, I was asking Zenith. Sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was
tell
like,
us
I
too,
don't know.
brother.
I don't know, man.
I think it's gonna be PulseChain. It's the layer one, right? It touches the most projects. It is the most universally accepted and used. It is the big daddy.
You hear that, Jeff? Zenith disagrees with you.
I'd like to say this. I think
Bitcoin is what he's going to say. Bitcoin.
It's in everyone's best interest that Pulse, as in PulseChain, stays as cheap as possible for like transactions. And if it does not say it doesn't perform as great, I think that's kind of the reason why we got PulseX now, because he could just launch PulseX into the stratosphere without really messing up like the gas functions.
And with all these projects being built on PulseChain using PulseX V2, I mean, the buy and burn, I think, is really going to take off. And I think what we kind of almost want to keep PulseChain price down a little bit, because even a couple weeks ago, you guys remember paying like more than a penny for a transaction? I was like, what the hell is this? I don't want to pay more than a penny for a transaction.
$100. Me and Uncle both had $100. That's how much Pulse we had to pay.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want, like, the amount of PulseChain I'm spending right now, if the price goes up 100x, it's going to be like $500.
I remember I saw one of my transactions was like 3,000 Pulse. I was like, what is this shit? I'm like, oh, just 5 cents. It's okay.
Look, I hear the gas fee argument. However, part of me believes it comes from kind of like selfish intent or a self-centered idea, which is that, yes, we want gas fees to be low. However, at the same time, we don't really get to control that or wish for it. It is honestly just at the hands of the ecosystem. So would it be awesome as a user to have low gas fees? Yes. Would it also be awesome to have the underlying token of the L1 pumped to the moon? Also, yes.
Yeah, if you have a bunch of PulseChain, you're not going to give a fuck about paying gas.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Ethereum users right now. Ethereum users pay a premium for using the Ethereum chain. But a lot of these whales, they don't care because to them, it's chump change. Paying $100, $200 swaps doesn't mean anything to them when they're over here making $10,000 in profits.
And that's exactly right. If you have a yacht, you don't care about the cost of fuel. If you have a G5 airplane, you don't care about the cost of fuel. However, remember, nothing got fixed in PulseChain from the gas problem. It was a differential of the variable of zeros. Now, since we're also sister chains, if one side decides to fix it, the other one can decide to fix it. But at that problem, the differential between the zeros is in our favor at the moment. Ideally, that needs to be addressed regardless.
Currently, here's the other thing, though. Here's the other thing, right? So Kool-Aid. So a lot of people are like, oh no, we want Pulse to stay down because we want cheaper gas fees. All right. So what is it? How is it that Ethereum, and the reason why Ethereum doesn't actually need to lower their gas fees right now? It's because they have this other thing that they just recently had a Cancun upgrade, cough cough, that allowed their L2s to have almost zero.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, and that's proof of prestige. Technically, if Hex was never forked and PulseChain was never forked, I always call Zen proof of gas. But actually, if just everything was back the OG ways and it cost $1,000 to unstake your Hex and you had less dollar amount in that than there, you would have bled. That blood would have gone back to the staker class, and that proof of gas or prestige would have actually cycled back into its system due to its bond on if you had the money to play with the system in the right way or not. And then that's pay for play in that system. Again, you can't buy an airplane and not have a license or the fuel to run it. So all of these are interesting things to digest when you look at the design of them all.
Yeah,
Well,
the thing that I'm trying to say here is, though, this is when we're going to start getting L2s on the L1 that is PulseChain.
100. Yeah, 100.
I call Zen proof of ass.
Well,
On
with that,
note,
this is a great time to end. So thanks, Briz, for a great segue to the
Did I
outro.
kill it?
Yeah, you killed it.
And it's dead.
Killed it, Briz. Good job.
Jesus, soundboard, man.
Well, I am not to be found anywhere except for the gift chats these days. So if you want to talk to me, that's where you'll find me. Zenith, take it away, my friend.
Will do. You can find me over at ZenithDI, Twitter, and Instagram. Other than that, we want to give a massive shout out and thank you to the Captain RG3 and wish him the best of luck up in Vancouver for the PulseChain Tour this weekend. There is a live stream, I believe, so if you want to do a little pay-per-view for that, do that. It will probably be both worth your time. I definitely just flubbed that. Well worth your time. How about that? Anyways, thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate your time and all your input, and everybody on the panel for coming in and chatting and hanging out. It's good to see everybody, and we will catch you guys next time. Adios.